Welcome to Going In Blind. I'm your host, Zach Tidwell, and my guest today is someone who most of you probably know, John TIG Teigen. For those of you who don't know, he is a Marine Corps veteran and one of the CIA GRS members who defended the American CIA annex and then the what was functioning kind of as a consulate over in Benghazi, Libya during the attacks that began on September 11th, 2012. A lot of controversy behind that. If that doesn't ring a bell, I'm sure we're probably going to get into a little bit of all that today. I talked to Mama Tidwell this morning and told her that John was coming on, and she doesn't normally stay up to date with this kind of stuff, but I mentioned, yeah, it's one of the guys from the Benghazi attacks, if you know about those. And she was like, oh, that Hillary Clinton bullshit. And so now we're here. So hopefully we get to fill Mama Tidwell in on everything along with everyone else. But for those of you who have been listening for a while, please leave a rating and review wherever that is. And if you're on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe. And that helps keep attracting people like John to come on the show. I think with all of that out of the way, Double Dog, thank you for coming on.
Oh, man, thanks for bringing me on. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, this is a bit of a wild one, honestly. Our mutual friend Justin Patterson connected us, which how do you know Justin?
Unfortunately, I've known him for a few years now. I don't remember exactly how I ran into him, honestly. I had my own foundation. I think that's kind of how I ran into him. And we were helping veterans and stuff like that. I don't think we actually helped him per se. But that's kind of how I came across him. And he was doing a thing out here with, I think it was called Hot Rods for Vets or something like that. But I think it was like 2016 or something like that is when I first ran into Justin. But no, yeah, I mean, I've known him for a few years, and we went on a pretty cool cruise with Brent Gilbert one time. It was a lot of fun.
He he told me some stories from that. I was curious if I'd get your side of those stories today at all. So uh hopefully I do. But
Yeah,
if
it was pretty cool.
yeah, that's I sounded like there's a little more to it than that, but we can.
There was.
If you want to get into it, we can. If not, we can skip right over it like you didn't bring it up. But it's up to you.
We'll kind of see how it goes.
Okay.
Nothing like so people that like nothing like I don't think me and personally nothing really crazy happened. But like nothing illegal happened either. But it was Marine Corps kind of happening stuff, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, it was a
Military,
pretty
yeah.
fitting story when he told me about it, and of course,
But
it's
he's a good
probably
storyteller too.
he embellishes a little bit. I met him. I was speaking back in October, and we got to meet, and like he's a character. I've only met him that one time, and we've stayed in touch like pretty closely. But it's he's a character. I'm trying to get him on here at some point too, but he's another hard man to pin down. But
That dude, he's out. He's like Tonto. He really is. He's outgoing, just like Tonto. He really is.
just
Must be an army thing.
100 miles an hour
Yeah.
all the time. But that's, I guess, with all of that, just so that people who don't have any familiarity, outside of like the headline kind of stuff, and who maybe haven't read the book or watched the movie, can you kind of fill everybody in on what you were doing in the Marine Corps, and so that then we can lead into the GRS work and all that stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I did the late entry program, so it's kind of what that is. It g I just at 17, you're not in the military or anything, but you just kinda do weekend drills. That's kinda what that is, and, so out of high school, right into boot camp, but went into 03-11. It was kind of a funny story, though. I was probably one of the easiest recruits I think they ever had.
The less that.
Because, they're like, "So what do you wanna do?" And I said, "I just wanna be all 3." He's like, "You don't wanna do anything else?" "No, all 3. I just wanted to be a grunt, nothing else." It's quite I mean, just because like, you'd see a lot of these other guys that go in, "Well, I'm not really sure. I kinda might wanna do this." There's some that do wanna be a grunt, but then they're like, "Well, maybe this, wanna be" I just wanna be a grunt. Just give me a gun, let me go do a bolt catcher, and that was it. Um, so, went in, did boot camp, and, it was Full Metal Jacket that drove me to join the Marine Corps. That movie came out, I said, "That's what I'm gonna do."
Like I want to get hazed too.
hazed and beaten. I knew I needed the discipline and the structure, so I was like, that's probably my best bet. Um, but no, to me, boot camp, it was I didn't think it was very difficult at all. I I was already kind of used to that kind of lifestyle, with having that structure. The physical side was a piece of cake for me. Um, so got through that, went to SOI, kind of the same concept, went there, you're doing the train up and they're going through all the weapon systems and they sat you down through them. And I remember being behind the 50 cal. I already wanted to be a grunt, 0311. So I was like on that and sat down and they give you like, I think it was like 3 belts, and each belt had like what 5 rounds on it or something like that. And the first burst, you see where it's at, and you got to do your adjustments. And I think you had a big comics out there, and they have the target on it, and they want you to get inside the target within those 3 belts. Well, I was inside the target on the second belt, and they're looking at me like, "What the hell?" And so like they got me off. They put me back and messed up the gun again. Sent me back down. Did the one burst, and on the second burst again, right on target. Like, well, what do you plan on doing? What do you want to be an MOS for? And he's like, that's 0311. They're like, well, why don't you want to be heavy guns? You should go into heavy guns, be a gunner. I was like, hell no, I don't want to be a gunner. And they're like, why not? I said, I'm not humping that damn thing around.
I was about to ask. You're like, you're not gonna have to carry it.
Yeah. Oh, I was like, so you're willing to do? I'm like, I'm not gonna hunt that freaking thing around, man. No. So that was kind of a funny conversation. But anyway, so yeah, so went to the Marine Corps, and came in. I was a squad leader probably within about a year and a half, into so what is about a year into the fleet. I was a squad leader, did that, went to mountain instructors course, went through assault climbers course, corporal's course, got to do the whole, I don't know, knew what the chasers were. A lot of people didn't know about them.
The chasers?
Yeah. So it wasn't really big or anything like that, but like if somebody would like take off, you had to go chase them down. So,
Oh.
yeah.
What was
So you
that
kind of
like?
yeah, I only got to do it once, but you just go track them down and you gotta, then you weren't like a cop or anything, but that was kind of fun. Just little specialized things like that, I got
Yeah.
to do. And but I went to MSG school, and while I was, because I wanted to continue, I was going to be a lifer at one point, and this is when I was dating my ex wife now at the time, and then she was actually getting ready to join the army, and I was getting ready to go to MSG school. We kind of said, okay, bye, see you later, because MSG, unless you're, I think, yeah, because at the time I was still a corporal, and you had to be a sergeant, whatever, and to be married and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, so we said yada yada, and she went off her way, and so I went to MSG school. Well, I think it was about a month in, and I finally got where I had to go in and talk with I guess the staff. I can't remember exactly, but they started going through my background, and you're like, well, we don't know if you're you're not going to be fit for this program. Like, well, why not? I kind of went through my military. Like, this is, I'm kind of proving that, I can do this. Like, well, they put a scenario. And again, I just kind of was going through the program, kind of learning everything. It's like a 3-month long course, you're trying to learn the process, what their program is, what the rules are and stuff like that. Well, they go, well, if you're at post one, which is like the front gate of the embassy or the consulate, and you see an American get attacked, what are you gonna do? Well, I'm gonna go out and help them. Well, you can't do that. You gotta sit there and watch them be attacked or killed. You're not allowed to do anything. So they're like, so that's why you'll be a problem. Like, well, you can't kind of do that to me because I don't know what the rules are yet.
What?
So
Yeah.
it's kind of a bull crap move. But that's just kind of where they are. And they kind of use a little bit of my past behind me, about my past against me to kind of boot me out. And right then and there, I was just kind of like, you know what? I'm done. This is kind of bullshit. So I end up getting that's when I actually decided I was gonna get out of the Corps. And then, just kind of after I got out, ended up getting married actually right when I got back. So I got back at MSG, brought back to my unit. Unfortunately, I went back to a different platoon. Still a good platoon, but when you leave your original platoon in the same company, it's kind of crappy. But
Yeah. And cannot so just so people can track. So MSG is Marine Security Guard, and
yeah,
that's I mean, no, you're good. It's there's Marines. It's a basically a special duty assignment, and you get you're the front lines basically at embassies around the world. So it's like a it's part of it is dog and pony stuff, but you are there to defend that place and lock it down. So,
Yeah,
but and
which is kind of funny for the incident. I was like, oh, so they said I would cause an international incident if I was on that duty. So kind
did
of funny, right?
what it is kind of ridiculous with how everything comes full circle, of like knowing that, but
Yeah.
like because I know you had a rough childhood. Was that, did you have a record though? Is that what some of that was from, or did you just kind of,
No, no, I mean, I had a lot of violence. There was a lot of violent charges against me. And then one of the things that they used against me was being molested as a kid. So
they
they
use
kind
that
of,
against you?
yeah, they used it against me. They said I had to pretty much I had to reconcile those issues before I could go. So they pretty much to me what that did is they pretty much made I don't know I didn't like the way they worded it. I can't remember exactly right now, but the way they worded it is kind of like they made me to be pretty much the bad guy in the situation, which I was like I don't need to reconcile with it. I got no problem for it. I mean, it is what it is. So it kind of
That's
pisses off because like you need to go see a psychiatrist to deal with it because I never dealt with it as a kid. So that's what I told because I never did. So it kind of really pissed me off. So I just kind of like I'm done with you guys.
was that, I mean, I guess the first time I, I obviously I'm a Marine too. Like I don't know when else that would have come up. Was that they're doing psych evals for MSG duty in
Yeah.
this school, and then you disclosed all that?
Well, no, so it kind of it comes up in your because one of the cases actually went to court and stuff like that. So they can dig all the way into it. So they have to have access to your juvenile records. So my name wasn't involved in that because it went to court. So that's how kind of how they found out about it. And so when they brought it up, they asked me, "Hey, did you go and get seek counseling about this and get it resolved?" And I said, "No." They said, "Well, you can't do this until you do." And that's when I said, "Kind of fuck you,"
Wow.
because they made it's like I'm not. No.
Do you? I mean, I can be putting myself in your shoes. Like I think I would obviously have the same reaction, but looking back at it now, years past, do you feel like some of that was because you hadn't actually like had you worked through some of that, or I guess gotten to a point of where you could be as, I don't even know if like accepting is probably not even the right word, but like
Well,
not,
I mean,
yeah.
I think just being the childhood, things happen to kids and people deal with it different ways. You know, how can I so I don't things happen and they just happen. There's nothing you can do about it. I mean, I didn't do anything wrong. It's not on me. To me, if anybody needs to seek help, it's that douchebag.
Yeah.
I don't dwell on it. I don't even think about it. It's just it just is what it is. It's just you know. But to me, for them to put it on me the way they did, like I had to go deal with it. I had a problem with it when I never did because I never thought about it. It just, for me, a lot of times, like a lot of the things that I got in a fight with was, I didn't go out and just beat somebody up. It was usually, somebody was doing something to somebody else. Like one of them, um, it was, he assaulted a kid in a wheelchair and they ended up putting him in the hospital. That was one of the bigger cases they talked about, which I kind of get that one, but that's when they kind of said, well, you would end up causing an international incident because you're too eager to go to someone's aid and help them.
Mm.
But again, I also know how to stand my ground and follow the rules too to a certain situation. But again, in Benghazi, the stand down order, we kind of said pound sand. So they might have been right in a way as well.
Yeah. I mean, there's no way to know, obviously,
Yeah.
but like, fuck, man, it's just,
But to me, to hold that against somebody like that, to force them to go and actually have to deal with something when I don't know, when they're saying like I'm not, I don't, that I have no issue with it. I'm not. It's not a problem. Yeah. This again, I don't consider myself a victim. It's just something that happened. If somebody needs to go seek help, it's that person that actually caused the problem. So again, I don't dwell on it. I don't sit there and cry. Yeah, I don't. Again, the people who do, again, there's people that were worse off, that had worse situations, that had worse things done to them and stuff like that. I get it. But again, it's people deal with it different ways. Some people are just it's just life.
Do you, and I'm trying to be sensitive about this, but also I feel
No,
like,
that's fine. No, you can be blunt. I don't care.
okay, like, because I think this is valuable. There's always someone listening who this
Yeah.
applies directly to. Is that is this or I guess being able to reach that point where you can, because I think that guilt, because I have talked to other people who've been molested or sexually assaulted, and it's just, I think that narrative, like that internal dialogue narrative does happen to a lot of people where it's like, oh, well, what did I do wrong? Like, why did I deserve this for something? So
Well, I also think society kind of pushes it on them that way as well too. And I was sitting on, I think I said it on, did a Sean Ryan interview, and I kind of said it on his show. And I was sitting outside the counseling office one time. It was actually up here off of Academy, towards Academy in Dublin. And it was, I think, I got I was getting in trouble for something, but I remember the counselor. I was over. They should have had one of those noise boxes outside the room, but they didn't. So I could hear when I could actually hear good before all the explosions. Um, I could hear them talking with my mom, sitting there saying, "We know exactly how your kid's gonna turn out. He's not gonna turn out good. He's not gonna amount to anything." And I'm just sitting there going, "Who the fuck are you to determine who I'm gonna turn out to be?" And it might have been that turning point. It's like, nobody's gonna I'm gonna determine who I'm gonna be and what I'm gonna turn out to become. Because just because I'm in a situation, I'm a kid for one. Um, and just being a kid is being a kid. I'm gonna get in trouble. I'm gonna get in fights. I'm gonna do things. Just being around the lifestyle I was in.
yeah,
Uh, I wouldn't say we were poor. We were decent off. I mean, we were on welfare. We had food stamps, and we also had a house. So we had a roof over our heads all the time. We were around drugs a lot, alcohol a lot, physically, mentally, sexually abused. I mean, I don't know about my other brother and sister. I can't speak for them, but the physically abused, I can. The other ones, again, mentally, probably yes, because we're all in the same household. Um,
yeah.
so again, it's just that different life. But for that right there, I remember it, and I remember getting up and I left. And it was probably again, I was I might have been elementary. I might have been 6th grade when that happened. So nowadays, like, if 6th grader walks, like, 2 blocks, it's a you can call the cops and get the parents in trouble now for it, but, it's probably a good 5-10 mile walk home. I'd say screw it.
Whoa.
That's how pissed I was. So, again, I remember it pretty damn good.
Well, that's a man's mindset to have. As a, I mean, your voice might be starting to crack in 6th grade, like, and you're like, no, fuck you. I'm going to show you. That is crazy, which is probably, you know, a byproduct of that environment.
I
But
mean, again, I definitely wasn't a perfect kid. I got in a lot of fights, a lot of trouble. I think I quit stealing stuff I think when we left Iowa. But that was mainly we were stealing food and stuff from the grocery stores because we didn't have a lot of food at the house. So
which is crazy because you just said, like, yeah, we weren't bad off. We had a roof over our heads, but you're having to steal food now. Like, your perspective on things is so, it's just, it's kind of it's kind of crazy, dude. I, you're giggling, so I think you probably know that, but it's just
oh
it's
yeah, I mean, you have people who literally they starve, so that's why I say it. I mean, when you compare America to a lot of other countries, other worlds, even the poorest people here are richer than half the world.
yeah, it's all relative.
Yeah, so that's how I think. That's how I process things, I guess.
Probably a healthy way too, And I mean, the other option is the victim game, which
Yeah.
you kind of touched on already. But it's and I don't think you said when, like, what year you went in. Then who were you with?
So I went in November of '95, and then it was 3rd Battalion, 7th Marines out of 29 Palms.
Okay, cool. That place sucks.
Oh, it is horrible, but, it's the best train I don't know, I think it's the best training I think you can get out of the Marine Corps because everything's live fire, you get a lot of units that come from, especially Pendleton, man, you all kinds of, they unfortunately, a lot of dudes would die in 29 Palms from live fire exercises because 'cause they're just not used to it. For us, it was
Yeah.
we're so used to it, having rounds flying, pretty close to you all the time. Just that situation awareness was just different than the other units that came out.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I was on Pendleton. I was with 3-5, and that was like ITX up there. I mean, that was
Yeah,
ITX is no joke.
yeah.
It's and yeah, that really was the only time that we were doing
Live fire.
other than like kill houses. I think when I went to Urban Leaders might have been like where it's actual, like every dude with a rifle shooting and moving kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh. Yes,
Yeah.
I mean, you guys were probably shit hot being up there.
Yeah, it was fun. I enjoyed it. I mean, Rage 400 sucked, but man, it was so much fun to do.
And oh god, yeah, every time you guys went to the field, it's probably just a sleigh fest.
Oh, it was. It was. It was. I mean, we have, especially doing a saw gunner, man. You'd have the saw belt, and then yeah, it was fun.
And because before, I mean, you did a couple deployments, right? Like combat deployments before
Not with the
MSG
Marine
stuff.
Corps.
Oh, I thought
No,
you okay.
no, never been
So
combat with the Marine Corps.
how that was one of the things I was curious about was initially was like, moving, you decided after the MSG stuff to get out, understandably, and then, you know, I always thought, and I had assumed this about you too, like, until I actually read the book, was that you had some sort of, at least like a recon background or something, or a shitload of combat as a conventional guy. Like, how did you, that shift? So you get out after, was it 4 years? And then how do you go to GRS?
So, I just went to heating and air conditioning. Did that. Yeah, did that for 4 years and, I've been, at the time, again, the ex-wife, she was in the Army, 9/11 happened. I did the reserves for a little bit, and it was combat engineer reserves, and, didn't get along with the, the platoon sergeant I was there. He was a real big douchebag. And the other guys, they would give me crap. I think I did it for about 6 months. So, like, 6 weekends or whatever it was.
And you're like, I'm out.
Yeah, and, there was one guy, he lived, like, 300 miles away, so, and, he went in, so obviously I became a squad leader, like, right out of the gates, and, whatever. And so, you communicate with the guys prior to the weekend, usually I call them on the Monday, call them on the Wednesday, and then call them, like, Thursday evening, see if they're gonna come in on Friday. Well, this guy couldn't get a hold of him at all that week. So I go in, sitting there again, I don't have to be in the reserves, I just wanted to do it, I wanted to get, I wanted to blow things up again. So this is prior to 9/11, obviously, and, so I'm in there and he calls me in the office because this guy didn't show up after, we get the roll call and stuff, and he's all, "Sergeant Tiger, where's your guy at?" And this and that. He's, was like, why didn't you go up there and get him?" I'm going, "Excuse me? Excuse me, Gunny, what do you mean? You wanted me to drive 300 miles to go pick him up when I can't even get a hold of him?" And he goes, "Yeah, that is your job." And I go, "Actually, Gunny, that is not my job." And he started to pretty much try to dress me down. I go, "You know what, Gunny? Fuck you. I'm done." Walked into the commander's office, said, I forgot exactly what like resigning my position as reserve, and I walked out and said, "I'm done." Next, but I guess what happened, 'cause I was still friends with a couple of the Marines that were there because they lived close by. He said he grabbed that gun because he was having a hard time keeping guys there because of this guy. Guess he ended up getting relief. What these guys said, like, a few months later, he was done. He was tired of it.
He was that bad.
He was that bad.
Wow.
Guys were just leaving. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what the guy said. It could have been pushed to another unit or something, but yeah, he said
Obviously, I mean, he's a problem. If you're getting
reamed his ass, but
if you're getting moved out of which I guess I've never seen Marine Reserves, but like I know Air Force reservists and stuff like that, and that is it's a different world. So I feel like for you to get moved out of something like that, you have to be, and especially like that's a different level of shitbag, or at least just pain in somebody's ass.
Yeah, it was pathetic. I'm like, you're not a freaking leader, man.
Yeah. Well,
But
so
so then so she went over there to Kuwait after 9/11. I tried to go back in, but I already had I hate calling it a disability. It's anyways a disability rating from the military for my back. So I kind of jacked it up pretty good. And went
your roommate with a big dick or what?
yeah, and went to go re-up, and they're like, "Dude," they're like, "Even though, you have the high rating, get back in, there's so many new bodies coming in, they're not gonna take you." So I kinda like, well, okay, whatever." And so the wife at the time, she went overseas, found out about the contracting company, CSA, which was doing they were doing all kinds of stuff, kinda like a KBR company. Um, so I started doing contract there in 2004. That's kinda how I started getting into contracting. So I was doing security there, researching the companies that were over there at the time. Was this, because I think it was, like, the summer of '04 when the whole Blackwater thing blew up when they hung the guys from the bridge,
Yeah.
burned them and hung them. So I was still researching because my thing is that a lot of guys would just leave their contract and take off. I can't do it. Me, I'm all once I sign up for something, I stick to it. I don't, unless they fire me or push me away or whatever. So, but I was researching a lot of companies, and at that time, I mean, you can make 60 grand, 30 days, 90 grand in 30 days, a lot of freaking money, but a lot of people say, "Oh, why don't you jump on it?" Well, about 80% of those guys never came home. They all got killed.
What?
Because a lot of those companies were fly-by-night companies. You'd go up there, not unarmored vehicles, some of them even no weapons. They'd give you a broomstick painted black, make it look like a gun. I mean, the stupid stuff. You'd go there with a guy who was just a cook, an analyst, or, not even an analyst, just an admin guy. I'm like, "I am not doing that." So, I actually had one guy who, he was a cook, and he got hired to do PSD work, and I was like, "Okay." He was like, "How," you know "how much training you get?" "Oh, they're gonna train us up for 2 weeks." I'm like, "Don't do it, dude. 2 weeks is not enough to learn PSD in that type of environment." He died within 3 weeks.
Oh
Like,
my
it was one of those
God.
contracts that paid you 60 grand for 30 days.
And that's almost predatory because that dude has no business.
No,
Like
he didn't.
like,
No business
obviously.
whatsoever. I mean, they took him because he's military. Again, just because 'cause you're military, you 2 weeks of PSD training, that's not enough time. That's that you can it's no, it's dumb.
I
So,
mean, go ahead.
trying to find those companies, navigating, then again, I learned about Blackwater, and I submitted my resume to Blackwater and stuff like that. And that was pretty much really the only one because I was like, that's kind of the bigger one. They're with the State Department, and that's kinda all I really knew. So that's what I kinda when I got to go, when I got the email saying, "Okay, come and do the," I guess, like, call it an in-doc, the train up, which was I think it was a month long, it was 4 weeks. And so, like, okay. So you go in there, you do it for 4 weeks, don't even know, they don't tell you, like, what you're gonna be doing, who you're gonna be doing with, you're taking all this stuff. I took the exact same test, and actually harder test than I did for MSG.
What?
Yeah. So I'm thinking, well, here we go again. That's what I'm thinking in my head. Like they're not, I'm about to go probably do a psych, and nope, all was good. And so then when you pass everything, they sit you down, like, okay, well, they kind of split the class up at one point. They like half you went this way and the other half went this way. So you kind of finish up the last two weeks with this group, and the other one kind of, they went somewhere else. And at the end, you finally figure out who you're working for, and which ended up being the agency. So,
So was it just is that a different pipeline that Blackwater had? Or is that like where it's,
so
there?
Blackwater again, like these companies, they don't hire you, they just train you. So so your resume is getting sent to the organizations, and they're picking the resumes. Then they say, okay, grab that guy, you train him up, and if you pass, and they pick the shooting quals, they pick the qualification, they pick the test. Blackwater just teaches it, and but they still, the agency or the State Department, they still hold the standard. They're just the teacher. That's all Blackwater is.
And you had no idea.
No, nobody did.
Wow.
So
I
it's still going on now. I mean, same with, like, who are the big companies? I don't even know if they big,
triple
but
canopy
it's
and stuff.
triple canopy stuff like there's it's still the same way. They're just the middleman. They don't do the actual hiring. So if you send your resume to them, they're not hiring you for that job. They're sending it off to the State Department, sending it off to, again, DEA. They'll do the same way kind of stuff. So it's weird how all this stuff works. So and now that's kind of how it ended up there. But I was doing gate duty, gate guard stuff. Um, and that's when, going over there doing that stuff, found out about the GRS stuff, and I was like, "Well, what the hell's GRS?" I was like, people are talking about and saying what they're doing. I'm like, "Shit, I can do that." Like, well,
Can you
now I
explain it for people listening too?
so GRS, they provide mobile security for the agency personnel, just to kind of make sure that they get to and from venues safely, and they also like if they get captured or whatever, like that, they do hostage rescue. That's one of their biggest thing. That's why they do a lot of special forces, Green Beret, Delta Force guys is because of that, and Rangers. That's why they want 8 year special forces because that way they don't have to train you up for it. And I think the only main reason kinda why they allowed me to go through it and try out is because of, the mountain instructors course crap that I had. And I think that's pretty much about it.
Yeah, I mean, I've never met anyone who went through that. Was that just I know you kinda I mean, you
Yeah, it
mentioned what you
was
went, but
yeah, it was I mean, it was a month-long, course, so, I mean, day in, day out, 16 hours a day. I mean, it was pretty freaking good, pretty intense.
yeah.
I mean, the tests were verbatim. If you missed a period, you failed it. You failed that answer. I mean, that's how. I mean, it was rigorous. So, but it was pretty good. I mean, it was. I wish I would have kept the workup on it and all the training on it. But
Yeah.
but when I got out, all my workup is. A lot of guys kept it for themselves. I just passed it to the guys. I'm like, they're gonna need it more than I am.
Like the books and all that stuff.
Yeah, all
Yeah.
the knowledge, I just gave it to them. Kinda wish I would've kept it, but, again, they still needed more than I did. Um
Yeah, and that I mean, that stuff's, like, kinda it's hard to come by. Like, if
Oh,
you
it is.
you get it, just whoever went through the schoolhouse gets it, and that's all they I mean,
Yeah.
it's like, I don't it's another thing I don't think people realize, like, that there's that, culture, at least in the Marine Corps, of, like, when you're getting sent to those advanced fields, you're expected to come back and teach that to everyone else because that knowledge is kind of, like, coveted. You get like, I got sent to school to be a JFO, and I can't remember, like, this little, this, like, hard copy, like, basically flip book that they give you for all the CAS stuff, and, like, that's all you get, but you're expected to be, like, the platoon's JFO, and
Yeah,
it's the same kinda thing where I mean, obviously, now I couldn't look at it, but it would be cool to still have, but
I know.
I don't know.
Yeah, like, well, even the Assault Climbers course, which is the setting up the climbing lanes or rappelling lanes for the company, battalion, bows, I couldn't even remember, we had to, tie the knots blindfolded, and if you crossed a knot, you failed it. It was like a 60% failure rate. I mean, we had a gunny and a staff sergeant, and they felt it pretty quick.
Yeah, I've heard it's a
Um,
slayer too,
yeah,
but
it was fun. It's where Firewatch was actually Firewatch. So, "I'm get the fire going."
yeah, that is so I don't know, but you just, like, you kinda got a unique taste of the Marine Corps, it sounds
No,
like,
I
which
did.
is
I mean, I had a good time. I
yeah.
mean, it wasn't always fun. You always had I mean, there's always crap moments and everything no matter what, but no, I had a good time.
The infantry is absolutely type 2 fun.
Yeah.
It's fun now, like, looking back at the stuff that it's yeah. So, and that, that school that you end up going through that's with Blackwater, like, was that
So what that was, it was just like it was kinda like an I mean, the initial one, almost everybody goes through. It's kind of very basic. It's just like shooting qual, and it's teaching you their tactics so that because so many guys come in, everybody had to be prior military. It was just getting everybody on the same playing field, so everybody had to kinda like the same idea of what somebody else was gonna do. Because you put a Navy guy, Army guy, a Marine. There was a couple of PJs, but you put them all together, they kinda have the s the same idea or the same knowledge of what they're probably going to do in a certain situation. So that's what that was for. So it wasn't, they're not gonna, teach you everything in 1 month, but you kind of have a basic idea. Now, when I found out about the GRS thing, I think it was my third deployment. I kinda after that, I started kinda bugging the team leader for the GRS and like, "Hey, I can do this. Hey, I can do this." Like, every time I'd come back from I'd go home, come back, hand him my resume, go home, come back, hand him and I did that for a couple years.
To get off of gate guard stuff?
Well, yeah, I mean, I did other things too, can't really that normal gate guards didn't get to do, I don't know how.
Oh, okay.
So, I got to do some other so I actually got to do mobile stuff as well, kinda like what they're but not in doing things that, pretty much you shouldn't have been doing, but I was able to do, so, that kinda helped maybe a little bit. So I got to know, the area that I was in pretty good and going to the other place, and doing stuff like that. It wasn't really mobile work, but, we were taking, some of the personnel to these places, which technically we weren't supposed to, but, we still did. So I got a little bit of extra training, so I was able to be taught a little bit of their tactics just in case something happened. So that kinda helped too. So again, for some reason, I was being set up, right now more I think about it actually right now, I was kinda being set up to kinda go do that job. But it seems like
Yeah, like kinda primed a little bit?
yeah, without going through the whole 8 year special forces. So but in my mind, again, I was just like, "I can do that. I can," when somebody says you can't do that because of this, I'm like, "Bull crap, I can." So, and finally, I wanna say it was about 2007. Yeah, it was about yeah, it was just prior to the summer of 2000 no, not 2007. No, it was the summer of 2007. Just prior to summer 2007, they finally brought me in just before I was getting ready to leave. They said, "Okay, this is what's gonna happen. You're gonna leave here, you're gonna land, you're gonna go straight to, the end dock. If you make it, you make it. If you don't, shut the fuck up and leave us alone."
So
That's
you yeah. So you were doing a little more than just shoving this through your resume every once in a while.
I was
Okay.
I was 'cause, I could do it, and, so I was like I think I'd been there I think I was there about 6 months, and I was like, "Okay." So I left, went there, and I don't know what happened, but then my eyes it was like the 2nd day, I kinda got out of bed, and I couldn't really see. I'm like, "What the hell's going on?" And so the shooting calls, I was kinda already practicing because I knew a buddy of mine, he's actually a congressman now, but he's kinda showing me the shooting calls for it, so I was kinda already prepping for the shooting calls, and they're pretty
Mm.
intense, man. They're fast, they're accurate. There's a lot of, a lot of SF guy, and obviously they felt it. I mean, it's
Is it all moving? All
no,
shooting you moving? Okay.
no, it's a lot of more static stuff, but it's a speed identification, so you're turning and shooting, identifying your target. Yeah, so there's one where I wanna say you're 25 yards or was it 50 yards? It's been a while since I looked at it, but you're facing uprange, not downrange, so you're facing the opposite direction. Your rifle is at just kinda hanging there, your hands are on it, then the timer goes off, you gotta spin, get your rifle up and shoot, and you got I think it was 1 and a quarter seconds.
And 50 yards standing or even 25, I mean, standing,
I
like
think
a
it was I
second
think
and
it
a
was
half.
25. I think it's yeah, it was like yeah,
Wow.
it was fast, but it was just in the torso. That one was just to spin and shoot and hit the target, just to kinda make sure you can actually get in and get on target. The other one was, 25 yards from concealed carry, 2 round center mass
It's a pistol
with the pistol.
and, like, click again.
Yeah, so everything was
Wow.
quick, accurate, and stuff like that. Those were the 2 of, like, the really intense ones. There's another one, they called it the stress test. Um, it was a 300 yards, you run 100 yards, you shoot, in the prone from the 200. Yeah, it might have been from the 2, sorry, I think it's a 200 yards run, shoot from the prone from the 100, I might be getting it wrong, but then as you it's 2 rounds, this is all center mass, and then then you run into the 75 no, it is to the 200, then you run into the 100, reloading, with another 2 rounds, again, in the prone. So they're trying to wear you down, and then
Mhm.
in between each one, each yard line, you're reloading. Um, and they always just to kinda wear you down. Then when you get up to the 10 and the 7, they're all headshots. The headshots has to be inside the square box.
Like in the
Oh,
key box?
yeah, in the little tee box. So if you don't have your offset, you're done, and you had to have so many of your other rounds inside the, A box, otherwise you're done. And this thing, I
Jeez.
mean, the pass or fail is you're fired.
Oh, it's wow. It's not, hey, you get a second chance
No,
tomorrow and you're done. It's you're
no.
out.
So you get, like the pistol one, you get 4 shots, do it 3 times, and the same with the other one. The stress test, you get to do it twice. You have to do it once.
How big was your cohort?
Uh it depended on, what was happening, but, I would say about 10 guys. Usually you lost about 1 to 2 guys each time.
Okay. That's just, did you feel like you were in way over your head being with all the soft guys?
No, not until I did the comms.
Because you were expected to know it and they didn't
Yeah.
teach you?
Oh, they don't teach you comms at all. They just teach you the tactics side of it and stuff like that. Moving packages and stuff like that. That was a pretty big portion of it. Doing vehicle drills, that was a pretty big portion of it. But again, the room clearing, rescuing, going that was pretty ingrained just from the Marine Corps doing the NB because I instructed my whole squad in the platoon on doing CQB stuff.
Okay.
I brought it back and I was teaching them because to me, I knew it was our next combat was going to be urban warfare. It's just I mean, and it was obviously,
A
um,
lot of it. Yeah.
a lot of it. I mean, because Mogadishu just happened and stuff like that, so I knew what was coming. Um, so I was pretty ingrained on it, their weapons flow is a lot different. I like the way it flowed. I think the Marine Corps I think they're probably teaching it different. Every time we go through war, it gets a lot better, a lot smoother and stuff like that. Casualty starts going down a little bit, um, but no, I mean, it's the comms, holy crap. Once they knew, um, because the bigger bases, like, we call it the flagpoles, um, they weren't not too much heavy on the comms because you didn't do a lot of cool stuff. But once you're trusted and you actually get to go to the smaller bases and stuff like that, kinda like Benghazi, like where I was at, then you have the comms, and you got the SATCOMs and stuff like that. I mean, I don't know how much you know about SATCOMs, but
Nothing.
I didn't know a damn thing. I mean, I think I saw a radio like 4 times in the Marine Corps, you know? And it was still like the Prick 187, I think is what it was called. Um,
Yeah.
and now I think now it's the size of a water bottle. But anyways, so I mean, you can send pictures, emails, voicemails over these freaking radios. So, and they hand me this thing, "Okay, here you go." I'm like, "What?"
Yeah. And now you got to pass the test with
No, so, I mean, I didn't do I mean, they always gave me a guide, but I kinda started getting it, I kinda understood it, but, I mean, I kinda knew why they were doing it because I was, like, I didn't really understand it, so they kinda forced me to learn it and stuff like that, doing um, the changeover on all the, secret little code stuff.
the crypto stuff.
Yeah, the crypto stuff, so you remember more than I do. So,
No, I mean, it's
the
been,
crypto changes.
yeah. Damn, dude. So, and that, I mean, that was like you're out doing the thing at this point.
Yeah.
Okay.
So knowing the angles and stuff, so they always made me the radio gun. I freaking hated it.
No, that's probably why.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they always, I'd ask, it's like, okay, this is how I do it. This is how I do it. They said, yep. So I go and, if I had problems, I mean, obviously those guys would help out in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
They were like complete dicks, like you would be in the units.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
So, was there still a pecking order because you're a conventional guy,
No,
or really?
no, no. A lot of guys, I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of egos for the most part, more on the SEAL side than any other ones. Um, but for the most part, I mean, a lot of guys were really, really cool, man. I mean, no major egos, man. Just more like the alpha type egos than anything. Not the
which
best.
is obviously what that job is going to attract. With the guy putting people in the hospital for picking on a kid in a wheelchair.
Right.
No, that's just I don't know. I mean, was there? I guess were you expecting? Like I don't know what the tempo is like for you guys or how really what a typical I guess like the risk assessment was like. Was it expected that you were going to get into something? Obviously not a
Yeah.
Benghazi type of situation, but
No,
okay.
I mean, your job was not to get into it. Or your job was even if you saw it, you would leave before it.
Okay.
That was our job. But if it happened, our job wasn't to fight. Our job was to get out of there. Now, if we had to fight, we fought. Um, I mean, in the early days, we all had actually live grenades and stuff like that. But I think in about 2009, 2010, I think they took them all away because they're too effective. Um, because not so much in Afghanistan, but it happened more in Iraq where they would get hemmed up and ambushed and stuff like that. Was a lot more heat there. I only did Iraq uh, 2 or 3 times. I think I was in Iraq. More in the '07 timeframe. Actually, that was my first trip out of GRS was in Iraq. So after that, and went to over Afghanistan. But
And that kind of stuff was supporting like case officers doing
yeah,
intel
it
work.
was always supporting case officers.
Okay.
That's all the GRS guys were for. Just
Okay.
and it wasn't, there's no Jason Bournes that I saw in the agency.
It's just it's weird because it's this kind of a black box thing, from the public's perspective. Like obviously we hear about it from shit like this, but like that's it. It's a weird.
I think during probably like the Cold War time frame, stuff like that, World War One, well, not World War One, but from the agency probably first came out, and stuff like that. There probably were some really badass, people. I mean, there probably are a few, still really badass people out there, but for the average case officer and stuff like that, they're nothing like the movies.
Of course, it's never as cool as it looks. But I don't it's so you've done how many deployments by the time that you get sent to Libya?
Oh, dude, I don't know. I think I think I lost track. You know,
Because it's that
in
many.
yeah, including my time, doing the gate guard stuff, 'cause, um, my first especially doing the gate guard stuff, I spent, almost like I did the whole, like, year thing overseas for the tax-free stuff. So, that's what I tried to do because so I spent a lot of time over there, but, I think, like, by 2009, I think I wrote it down. I think it's in the book. That's when I stopped keeping track. It was, like, 60 something of deployments or something like that or whatever it was. But, again, those a lot of those deployments, some of them were, like, 2 months. But then you go home for 2 weeks, come back 2 months.
Immediately.
Yeah, so it's not like the military's, 2 years, 14 months overseas. But, a couple of them again doing that whole what 330 days overseas, get the tax-free exemption stuff. So I did do that pretty much from, I would say, uh, '03 probably to about '07. I did all those pretty much 330 days overseas.
And were you married during that
Yeah.
time? Wow, dude.
Well,
That's
he was contracting too.
Oh, okay.
So,
Okay.
yeah, we were both in Kuwait at the same time and stuff like that, so
Okay. So, I mean, switching gears there from I mean, obviously, it sounds like Iraq was hot. Afghanistan was probably it sounded like not so much, at least for you guys, but what the shift there? Why Libya? Why'd you end up there?
don't know. I mean, it's just you
Just
just rotate
happens.
wherever
Okay.
they want you to go. But, honestly, so you have 2 different kinds of contractors. Also, you have industrial contractors, then you have direct. Industrial ones were, again, were like the Blackwaters, KBR, and, those type who actually work through a company. Then the directs were pretty much what I was doing, where I was working directly for the agency, so then you can go anywhere. Wherever they have a location, you get to go. So there's no middleman, there's no nothing. You're paying for your own flights, you're paying for your own insurance and all that stuff.
Real
Oh,
I mean, it is like a pure contractor role.
yeah. it does suck a little bit, but you get to go everywhere. There you don't you have to book your own, you have to make sure your own quals are up to date. You have to keep track of everything for them versus the company did it all. You didn't have to think. It was kinda nice.
Did you like it? I mean, was it like obviously it was money was a big draw, but like,
You know, you could think that, but I mean, if I went and worked for a private company, it way more money. You'd make with them, you were making like $700 a day. Not that much.
okay,
I know a lot of people think it's thousands. No, it was only like I think the most I made with them was like $800, 850 a day.
was it? I mean, it. I know it was what you wanted in the sense of like you sought it out, but it turned out to be what you wanted. Other be pre Benghazi, obviously. Like that's the thing. You
I mean,
might,
that was part of the job, but
yeah.
I mean, it was boring. So I was expecting a little bit more kind of fun stuff, but I mean, I got to see some pretty cool stuff, got to do some pretty fun stuff. But I was expecting a little bit more, but it was. I would say it was more boring than anything, but boring meant nothing was going on, so that was good.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I can't remember. Had you already been to Benghazi a couple times when?
Yeah, so
Okay.
I was part of the team that well, like, so it was already going on. There was already a team there, so I flew in and actually took the station chief, and there was a group of us and the station chief, and I think it was one or two other, or maybe four other case officers or something like that. And we actually drove from Benghazi up to Tripoli, and we opened up um, the station up in Tripoli and the embassy. So
Was this
I was part of that the real true initial group, the true Americans that went from Benghazi, drove up there, got everything set up for the 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 initial back push into Libya, into Tripoli. So
okay?
so so I guess you could say yeah, but I didn't see Benghazi during the day. We flew in at night and we started traveling during. I'm sorry, you tried traveling up at night initially, then drove up during the day. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff blowing up. No bodies, nothing like that, but
So did you guys push up to Tripoli pre the overthrow and then you went back
yeah, they were
down to?
still they were still chasing him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he had already fled and stuff. They're still chasing him. And I think when I left the first time, when I left Tripoli, he was still alive, I believe. I can't remember if they had actually captured him and killed him by then. I think it might have been my first trip back, and that's when I came in. That's when I went in Benghazi the first time. I think it might have been that my trip back. And so my second trip, I think, is when they finally got a hold of him and they killed him.
Jeez. And so, I mean, when you guys are pushing through all there, like even for the Tripoli thing, is it? I know it's chaos there, but a very anti-American already.
No, not even.
Mm.
I mean, I think it was pretty much the opposite. It was probably one of the friendliest Muslim country I've ever been to.
Wow.
Way more friendly than Pakistan.
Jeez. And I'm missing. I mean, you've been to Pakistan with the GRS
Yeah.
stuff. Okay.
And you're out there in the community. It's just even. Well, no, we can't say that. Actually, Kuwait was probably the friendliest for the most part. They're actually really friendly there. So Libya, I keep forgetting about Kuwait. So Libya, I'd probably say about the second friendliest. I mean, we're there. They would, buy us. If they see, they didn't know who we were, but they would actually buy us our lunch or dinner for out there and stuff like that. They'd come and shake our hands. A lot of times we'd say we were Canadians or British, but it,
Accent doesn't check out, dog. But I mean, they probably don't know that, but it's. I do remember that from the book now that you say that, and but because I know you guys like even months before the attack though, and even like I think in the weeks leading up, like there had been requests for extra security. So what shifted?
yeah. So I mean, they were so that was the State Department. They were always requesting for it. But the first time I went, the embassy hadn't quite moved yet. They were still kind of using Benghazi as the embassy. They were slowly starting to shift everything because when we were there, we were going around looking for the property. So we were driving the individuals around looking for the property. And just before we left, they actually had found the property that they were going to push into. So when I went there, they still had the property was huge. It was like 10 acres, nice, huge. The villa. Um, I don't know if Steven was there or not. I might have seen him before. It's kind of starting to think about it. But they probably had about 20 or 30 contractors there or something like that at the time. There was quite a few.
Those are the industrial guys
Yeah,
with the State Department.
State Department. Yeah.
Okay.
So they had a pretty big footprint at that time. But then they started moving out of there and moving um, up to Tripoli. But again, we're not there all the time. I think we just kind of go over there. We went over there occasionally. So I think I went there like my first time. I think maybe 3 times in the 3 months I was there. The first time, so you can kind of see like maybe once a month. Um, so then my second time, um, I was there in Benghazi. Um, they had pretty much all left, and there was just like a small group. Don't remember how many guys, but it was never more than I would say 5 security guys for 8 acres ever. After I'm they will
Wow.
after the main contingency went to Tripoli.
And so did you start, I mean, just over this time span, like, was it what were things shifting there in terms of the way you guys were perceived, or was that never really a thing that occurred?
No, I mean, the locals for the most part liked us. I mean, and again, okay, I mean, you get a stink eye, but I mean, I can get a stink eye walking down the street too.
Yeah.
So it was never that for the most part. It was like, but if you drove around at night, certain amount of times, yeah, you could. It was kind of how I kind of described it for the most part, how it felt to me. If you like picture like back in the 60s, Chicago when the mobs kind of ruled Chicago, it was that kind of environment almost. Like if you went to the wrong neighborhood, you'd kind of get that stink eye. You know,
Mm.
so like each neighborhood kind of had its own little clique and they would actually set up their own roadblocks. So we would drive through these roadblocks and really never have a problem unless you went late at night. Now we kind of knew certain roadblocks that were actually controlled by Ansar al-Sharia or Al Qaeda, if that's what you want to call them. So even then, they wouldn't really mess with us too much. So
Even when it was white guys rolling through these roadblocks.
yeah,
Huh.
because there was a lot of Westerners that worked there, even be prior to the takedown or the overthrow of Gaddafi. There were still a lot of well, not really Western countries, but like Swedish companies and stuff like that that were working in Benghazi. So you know these companies were over there working. Where there wasn't like a whole lot of sanctions, I guess, going on over there. I didn't really
Okay.
look into, Libya prior to all this, but, just going to these other compounds, because obviously we had our vehicles worked on and stuff like that. So that's how I kinda knew. I mean, we would only use, like Western type companies, even though they had locals that worked there, but we wouldn't go to like, just like a local mom and pop, garage. We took it to an actual a big industrial type, garage to have our vehicles worked on. Something happened.
Huh.
So
It's just, I guess I didn't even realize that, I'd never read anything about Libya
I
until
would never
the
think about
yeah,
it either.
just
So, unless I was there.
huh. So, I mean, that you're there twice, you went back a third time?
Yeah, I was pretty much on my last rotations. Usually, you only spend about a year's of worth of rotations there, and then they try to push you somewhere else.
Just to another country for your next set of rotations?
Not always, but I mean, that's what they just so you don't kind of really get burnt out, or they'll send you to another station in that country. Just kind of depends.
Okay. So, what's next?
So, so a lot of people, well, obviously, a lot of people don't realize that consulate actually, when we were talking about more protection, more support, the consulate had got attacked twice prior to 9/11. I was there the second time it got attacked, and this is before we actually had 24. We had actually 24-hour camera guys, so we were actually watching our cameras. We were pulling a lot of hours, so we were always kind of like our own fire watch. So we'd be up watching the cameras while and the consulate got hit, so I had to go up, wake up the guys, wake up the team leader. Say the consulate's been attacked. We got to get up and ready to go because we were again still the Americans. We'd act like a QRF.
Yeah.
So we got up, ready to go. I wasn't going to be part of the team that was going to go over there because I was still monitoring the cameras. I was going to do base security. I got the local guard force getting ready just in case, So I think we're going to send 4 guys over there. But
And you're talking about the two time or one of the times that's pre 9/11 attack.
yeah,
Okay.
this is the second time they got attacked.
Okay.
And right then in the base, and again, this was about 1 in the morning when this one happened. The chief says, "No, stand down. You guys ain't going." He literally said, "Well, no." He said, "No, you guys ain't." He didn't say stand down. He said, "You guys ain't going. Just you guys ain't going." And everybody's kind of looking like, "What the hell you mean? They're being attacked?" And I think it was only 2. Yeah, it was only 2 guys there at the compound.
The State Department guys.
State Department guys.
Okay.
2 guys, 8 acres. And we're just looking at 'em like, "What the hell you mean we're not going? This is freaking stupid." And they're like, "Oh, no, 17 Feds got it." And there's something like that. Again, it's been a long time.
Yeah.
But he would not let the guys leave, and luckily, just about when we had a pretty strong, team there at the time 'cause, the other one wasn't there at the time. We had a different one. He was getting ready to kinda get on Bob and actually take off and go when the State Department guys, "Hey, there's no fall-on attack. Looks like they just had an explosion on the outside of the wall. We don't see anybody outside. Nobody's coming in." So that kinda helped our situation at our compound.
And for go ahead.
No, but the thing is, I mean, if there would have been a follow-on attack, those guys would have been screwed.
Well, yeah. Are they? I mean, are those guys former military even, or those are just
I think
government
if
workers?
I remember the one guy that if it's the same again, it's been so long. He
Yeah.
was a Marine as well. I just can't remember the other guy that was there with him.
Okay.
So they were there. They had one. He wasn't like he was a State Department guy, but he wasn't like an ambassador or anybody else. It could have been just like communications or something like that. But they still had a package to protect regardless. So there's 2 security and 1, so 3 personnel over there on 8 acres. So it was just like holy crap,
Yeah. I mean, it's like cartoonishly overlooked. And anyone,
really stupid.
if you could say those words to literally anyone in charge, 2 people, 8 acres, people would be like, "What are you talking about?"
In a
And
foreign hostile country.
yeah. And for context for people listening, Bob was the station chief.
Yeah.
And then 17 Feb was one of the local militias that was
There was a
friendly
counter.
to you guys. Yeah. Okay.
No, I wouldn't. We went to their compound. I wouldn't really say they were too. We didn't like going over there for much to say. I
Just
think,
felt
yeah, it just
sketch.
felt off. Yeah, there's just like every time we tried to like link up with them, so we kind of really train with them, but kind of get a feel for them a little bit more. But they never wanted to, so that kind of felt odd to us that they never wanted to train with us.
On it. I mean,
So
kind of lines up with
yeah,
some of the shadiness that happened. So, but even that's interesting that Bob did the same stand down bullshit too that time. So
but he did that multiple different times too. So it
that
wasn't
was
just that was who Bob was.
is that just a gun shy kind of thing? Was that your read on it?
Uh, Something like that. We don't, I think he was just kind of risk adverse for the most part when he get his own personnel. But in my mindset, and somebody's in danger, I think. Plus, I think he thought we would go to places and just go gung ho or something.
Tear shit up. Yeah.
Like that's stupid for one. Like we had our deputy chief of station and a linguist get hemmed up on a checkpoint about 45 minutes away from us. And I was one of part of the team that was we were wanted to roll out there, and he wouldn't let us go, and we had that, and not a strong enough team leader, but because our job when we go there, we get eyes on, and we just observe. If things go south, then we're there immediately instead of trying to like if they get hemmed up, they get start getting wrapped up and kidnapped, we're not trying to drive 45 minutes and everything's completely gone and wiped out by the time we get there, you know? So it just he was just it just made no sense to us. That's just how he was, though.
And I don't even know if you can say this. Was he ex-military?
No, he was always
Okay.
actually he was like 30 years on the farm, and then, again, this is what I was told, I never really looked into it,
Yeah.
but no, 30 years farm guy, then he might have been a really good trainer, stuff like that, but they shipped him off into Iraq, what I was told, and then I don't know how long he was there for, but then, this was supposed to be his very last duty station, and then retirement.
God, what a
I think that's what it was. He just wanted that perfect career or something.
yeah.
Well, but you coulda had a better one if you'd have let us leave when we wanted to.
Do you think, I mean, looking back now, you think those guys would have survived over
Oh,
at the
100%.
yeah.
Yeah.
'Cause I don't think it's really clear in the book, and it's as you can imagine, it's been a minute since I've seen the movie. Just like blind, but, the like, how long so and maybe if we fast forward to that night, so
Yeah, so
how long did you guys get held up? Maybe as you
yeah,
walked through
so
that? Yeah.
so me and Roan, we went out because we are supposed to take the ambassador, to, the Persian Oil Golf Company for a meeting. We are just gonna be, like, part of the security, not really take him personally. But since the other guys, the State Department guys, they're new to the area, they didn't know where it was. I knew where it was, the other guys even so the team that was there, they were kinda brand new to the area. I wasn't, I've been there long, so that's they kinda rotate, so they have somebody who's got really good knowledge of the area, not everybody just leaves. So I was like, "I think I know which one it's at." We never really been there, I just drove by it past it long enough to kinda recognize the name in my head when they said it. So me and Rowan, we drove out there, we found the location, we kinda we did our own route to figure out what we're gonna take because they wanted they wanted to allow a local driver to dictate the route. We don't do that, especially if we're part of it. It's like, if you want us to be part of it, we're no, we're not doing that. So on our way back, I said, "Hey, we got the route. You want us to stop by now, or do you want us to wait till the morning?" I think he was talking to Scott or Alec. I can't remember who it was, and he said, "No, we'll wait till the morning." So on our way back, drove by the consulate, just habit, just looking down. I can still remember how what it looks like. You look down, empty. Nobody's out there, not a big crowd, no nothing. So, we go back to the compound, go back to the annex, inform the team leader. We kind of, because we're going to leave early in the morning because I think the meeting was like at 7. So it was pretty early, 7 or 8 or something like that. Because it was like a coffee breakfast kind of meeting thing. And so we kind of told them our route, showed them where it was. Cause again, we're taking the ambassador and, it was, you know, high threat and all that stuff. Um, so Rome was staying there, talking with the team leader. I went into the room to ready to go to bed. Getting ready to go, get undressed and stuff. Next thing you know, get a radio call, say, "Hey," just pretty much just like this over the radio, "Hey, I need all GRS to the team room." No urgency. So we're like, that's kind of weird. Like, okay, what did Tonto do? Something like that. Because Tonto's always getting us in trouble.
Is he just a little shit all the time?
Yeah. Kind of like Justin,
Yeah.
you'll know what I mean when you feed him a little bit more. So, but no, he's always doing little pranks and stuff. And, we'll get called in like, "Can you guys stop doing this?" Kind of
So,
stuff.
yeah.
So like, all right, it's kind of weird. So I'm putting I'm putting my pants back on and then getting my flip flops on, and I don't even have my shirt on yet. And then the team leader said, "I need all GRS to the team room now." And kind of in that tone, really calm, which is probably good in a way. So Jack, he's on the laptop talking to his wife, and I said, "Don't worry about it. I'll go see what's going on." I run out of the room, and he's actually coming out already. There's 2 cars already lined up in front of the command post of the talk or building 3, and that's when I know, okay, something's really happening. But then you hear gunfire going off, you hear bangs going off. It's still Benghazi. It is what it is. He says, "Hey, the consulate's been overrun." Not that it's being attacked, not that there's a protest, it's been overrun. And I'm like, "Oh, shit." So I run back in, tell Jack, "Hey, the consulate's overrun, we gotta go." So we get our gear, we get our, gotta get, my kind of undressed, redressed, it takes about 5 minutes or something like that, maybe, 10 minutes at the most. Again, but I don't think it was even 5 minutes. Get our gear on, we kinda go in, dropping my initial stuff in the lead vehicle. I go into the team room because again, what I'm hearing, as I'm going in, they're like, okay, there's about they're saying anywhere between 100, 150 people in the compound. Again, now my Marine stuff's kicking in, infantry squadrons kicking in. Okay, we need a grenade launcher, we need a belt fed. So I go into the team room, I grab the grenade launcher, I grab the belt fed, go in the vehicles, and now I'm just kind of going through function checks, make sure everything, make the triggers work, putting the belt on, getting the belt ready, and putting on safe. Okay, you got that over there. Getting the grenade launcher, and one thing I kicked myself in the ass, but the grenade launcher I should have attached it right back to the rifle. Well, the problem is the team leader just prior to him, we had a temporary team leader that came down, and we always had.
All right, we had some technical difficulties, but you were just talking about why the grenade launcher was off the rifle.
Yeah, so we had a temporary team leader that came down, and he took the rifle or the grenade launcher off the rifle because I guess his excuse was nobody else could use it. It was attached to one rifle. I'm like going, well, and I didn't realize he actually did it. I found out kind of later. I was like, why was it even? Because we usually don't even we didn't take him out unless we did long range moves. Because
Was it a 203?
no, we can't really say exactly what it was.
Oh, okay.
It was quick. You could attach it or detach it and stuff.
Okay.
It took about a minute or two. I just wish I would have kind of kicked in my head. But anyways, but his thing was like, nobody else could use it. Well, the problem was there was no sling for the damn thing. So
Mm.
you had to like physically carry it, put it in a backpack, this and that, stuff going on. Well, I should have just attached it to my rifle right back the way it was. But again, the rifles, they were all they weren't zeroed to anybody. None of the rifles were. They were laser zeroed, and that's what because we didn't have a range.
I didn't even think about that.
There was no gun range we could just go and shoot at, you know.
Uh,
Oh, so it was just like this is about the dumbest thing. Anyways, so I got that, kind of got it, loaded it, put the tool, put the 203 in it, put it off to the side, and then we're just kind of sitting there waiting. Get there now the State Department went from talking on the phone to talking on the radio because the team leader said, "Hey, get on the radio, stop talking on the phone so we can hear what's going on, the team can." And, so he starts talking on the phone. Well, once we got ready, Tonto went up to the chief of base and said, "Hey, we're ready to roll." That's when the chief of base said, "No, just hang out, just wait. We're trying to" I forgot exactly what he said. It's probably in the book and stuff, but so again, we get that first wait. It wasn't he didn't say stand down. He said, I guess wait or something like that. And again, my thing is also I kind of get that because you're expecting to link up with some local 17 feds, some guys who were trying to get that link to come together, right? So time's going by. And my now, I mean, it's taking seconds count in firefights and stuff like that. So in my mind, okay, these guys are digging in, they're getting the initiative, man. It's gonna take us a lot, it's gonna be a lot harder to get onto this compound. I mean, it's
There's only 6 of you guys.
yeah, well, yeah, five shooters, six, five shooters. Well, and then a linguist. But yeah, so I'm just like, so I get out of the car. I can't remember. I think they're actually starting to light the buildings on fire. Not now. I'm starting to get pissed and like, and I could, and I said, we need to get over there now. We're losing initiative. They're digging in. It's going to take us, twice as hard to get onto this freaking compound. And that's when Bob literally again from Bob's mouth, stand down. You need to wait. And I'm like going, what the hell are we waiting for? What's going on? Again, I kind of went to a thing. That's when the team leader said, Tig, shut up. Get back in the car. And, the other guys, when I got back in, I think they kind of heard. I said, he's not going to let us go. He just told us to stand down. He's not going to let us go. And I think for us, the last draw, again, for job be damned or anything, it was they got on the radio and said, you guys don't get here now, we're all going to fucking die. There was no talking, no communication. Brown just put the car in drive and started taking off. The team leader, again, he wasn't in the car. We weren't fucking waiting for him. He gets on the radio and said, "No, wait, wait, I'm coming, I'm coming." So you can actually see in the security footage if they ever release it. They probably won't, but you can see the vehicle starting to pull away and stop. And that's because we stopped and waited for him to get in the vehicle. Then we actually let him go and get in the lead just in case we got held up at checkpoint because they had the linguist and that way he could communicate. None of us could Durka Durka. So
This is the future mayor of Colorado Springs. None of us could Durka.
Well, they're-
Uh, Fuck, dude.
so so they go in the lead, and we pull up to the I would say the west side of the constant down, about 400 yards or so away. There's a gun truck sitting there. There's three militiamen, and they're firing down towards the constant. Again, we don't know who these guys are. We're assuming they're not really attacking the constant because of where they're at. I just remember the little short, chubby, fat guy in the business suit, and one guy with an AK with him. So the team leader kind of pulled up. The lead vehicle pulled up kind of off the side of the road. We kind of pulled up next to him a little bit in front, kind of angled the car because we still got the linguist in there. We really need the linguist. So myself and Jack, we got out of the car. I came out with the belt fed, and kind of we yelled out friendly, and they started walking towards us. Again, we don't durka, and they're speaking. I don't know because there's multiple dialects. That's why
Yeah.
I don't know because I don't know what they're speaking.
Yeah.
Because there it wasn't like um, Arabic. That's what I'm saying. I don't know exactly what everybody thinks. Everything's Arabic over there. It wasn't Arabic, so I think it was
Okay.
like Farsi or something like that. But anyways, don't get me wrong about that. But so we have the linguist crack the door, and he says, "Okay, yes, they're friendly." So I take the belt fed. I immediately put it in. I grabbed a grenade launcher, grabbed a satchel of like I think it had 12 rounds in it. Grab it, throw it over, and I immediately just walk over to the corner. I look, come up, shoot around, put another round in, shoot around, put another round in, shoot around, put another round in. I come back up, all the shooting was done. So I come back, take the grenade launcher, throw it in the car. Again, I'm not even thinking about leaving the car. But anyways, take it. I said, "Hey, where's Tonto and OD?" And the team leader's like, "Hey," they started jumping over the walls to try to get a high ground so they can see inside the compound. I'm like, "Cool." I take my backpack, put the backpack on, get the belt fed, put the belt fed on, get my rifle on, get some extra drums. I couldn't transition between the two, so I had to take that off, take my backpack off, leave my backpack, get it on, start transition. Okay, now everything's moving because I want to be able to transition in case one
Yeah.
out. So so I had to leave my backpack in there, leave the grenade launcher in there. So then I just started moving. And next thing, I started moving towards the wall, and then Jack and Roan just kind of they just followed me up there. I get on Riz, said, "Hey, we're moving down towards the consulate." We get down there, and this whole time it takes us about 30 minutes. It's not fast. So you're looking by the time we actually get on there, I kind of speed it up a little bit. The time we get on there and actually into the consulate, they said just this is all from the video feeds and stuff. From our video feed from them showing us leaving to they actually see us getting into the consulate grounds is about 30 minutes.
Wow. And when you opened up with the grenade launcher, I mean, they were just shooting at random stuff. I mean, shooting in the air and all that.
Well, no, you could hear the rounds cracking by me. I mean, they're
Oh.
coming by. Yeah, there's crossfire. I mean, there's about a dozen or so guys down there. And there again, the three guys they were engaging.
That's I didn't
You ever had an RPG shoot off from behind you, like about 20 yards and then fly back? Holy crap, it's freaky.
I'm not a combat vet. I'm like I did 2 peacetime deployments and
Okay.
yeah.
So I was so when that so that's what so when I went to come up the first time and shot there was like another guy with an RPG, and that's what he did. So he was on the other side of the street because it's kind of at a T. So the alley came down, and then it was a T intersection. So he was on the other side of the T intersection. Dropped the RPG, and it did. I just remember that thing going right by my. I was like, "Oh, that was trippy." So,
I mean, had
anyways.
he not been behind you, he would have probably I mean, that he would have been one of those videos where you get rocked by the back blast. Like, that's uh
So, yeah, so it took us 30 minutes, but, because we're tactically moving, but at the State Department guys, again, there's a lot of miscommunication going on.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to communicate, I'm letting them know, "Hey, we're moving to you, we're coming." But there was a plus I was doing that to inform our base what we were doing, and I was also informing, Tonto and OD that we had friendlies moving down the alleyway. I didn't want them shooting us. So I was trying to communicate as much as I could. Um, but what happened is, when I launched the grenade launcher and, those 3 rounds hit, everyone all the attackers took off. So if the State Department guys, when I went back to the vehicle, they got on the radio and say, "Hey, the attackers are gone." We could have jumped in the vehicles and hauled ass.
Mm.
And we'd have had, again, when the movie says that I lost, I didn't lose. You don't, as a Marine, you don't lose a grenade launcher. As a military guy, you don't lose a grenade launcher. You don't just drop it randomly because, it was in the vehicle. That's where
Yeah.
carry. I couldn't carry, 4 weapon systems, especially one without a sling. So,
And while you're trying to carry a light machine gun and a rifle that are on slate, yeah, yeah.
so So we get on there, we're searching, that's when, we find they lost track of the ambassador. They had 2 packages they had to keep track of, and they lost the main one. 5 guys to protect 1 guy technically, and they
Who
lost
was the other?
Sean Smith.
Well, so yeah, that was the ambassador, but who was
No,
the
no, Ambassador, Stevens was the ambassador.
Oh, okay.
Sean Smith was the communications officer.
Oh, okay.
So, but, again, their main package though was, the ambassador.
Yeah.
So they don't know where he was. They don't know again because the guy who was in there with him, ended up passing out from the smoke inhalation. So when he woke up, he didn't know if he got out of the safe room, if he got kidnapped, if he got, he had no idea. So so we're searching for him, and come to one point, I was kind of going in and out of the building, kind of speed it up a little bit, and I
You know,
see.
you can do whatever you need to do, man. You're good. I'm here to let you tell the story. So you're good.
So Roan and Jack got on the compound first. I'll back up a little bit then. So Roan and Jack got onto the compound first because I was trying to get on because I was informing State Department, hey, we're coming on. So again, the friendly fire thing. Say we're moving on the compound. When I said we're moving, Roan was just boom, he was gone. And then again, prior to that, me and Jack went up on top of a mound of dirt to try to see if we because it was pretty much about as high as the wall. So we are trying to get up there to see if we could see over the wall to kind of see in, but there was just so much brush you couldn't see. But when I was going up there, the lucky saw, everybody, all the saw gunners out there know you tap that little plastic drum that they come with, it just falls off and all the rounds come out down with it. So I had to break off half of that. So now I have, 75 round belt hanging around my neck and, 75 round, whatever, half on the gun and half around my neck. So I got that dang around. I'm fighting with the, because everybody thinks the CIA has this cool equipment, like they see it where you can just like talk and automatically transmits every. No, it's a handheld clip-on radio.
Oh,
So I
jeez.
set this clip-on radio and I'm talking, and as they're running and sprinting, and I'm trying to keep up, trying to do belt fed, trying to have my rifle, and I'm trying to clip it. So they're good. I mean, they're Navy SEALs. They're hauling ass, you know.
Yeah.
So as I'm doing this, I get engaged. So I drop down. The militiamen that were firing actually followed with us. One of them kind of moved up behind the Jersey Bears. He started engaging, just let loose. So that allowed me to kind of get my radio clipped. I kind of pop up with the belt fed. I'm kind of looking as I'm trying to get my night vision down. I got it down, but it just the way the lights were, it just flooded it out. So I had to flip them back up. Can't see anything. Moved up to the Jersey barriers where the guy was sitting there for a second, just kind of watching, like where the hell this gunfire just come from.
Mhm.
And probably about 25 yards down, some guy just pops out. Some
It was that close.
yeah. Oh,
Holy shit.
no gun, no nothing, puts his hands up and goes, "Friendly, friendly." And I'm sitting there like, "Oh, what the?" And I look at the guy next to me and he kind of looks at me. I shrug, he shrugs. It's just like, what the hell is going on? So I just kind of, put my hands to my eyes, my 2 fingers, and kind of like just watch him. Because again, don't speak. I don't. He might have spoke English. I don't know, but I just kind of said, "Watch him," kind of a thing. He
Mhm.
kind of nodded, so maybe he spoke English. So I just kind of got up, started moving on to the compound. Like, go through the front, go through the gate. First thing you see is the main villa just engulfed in flames, black smoke coming out, flames coming out. Keep moving on, past the gate because the gate kinda blocks the view, but keep moving forward. Next thing you know, you can see the 17 Feb, barracks or their house, whatever, because they had a sleeping quarters there as well. It's just engulfed in flames as well. There's a they had a carport, and the cars there were pretty much, just burnt almost pretty much just to the metal. I mean, they're kinda just all the way down. The weirdest part, again, just so many weird things. a local, again, he could have been 70 Feb or he could have been the groundskeeper. Again, I didn't know the people there. Just walking up that driveway from, again, this is 8 acres, so it's a big compound. So it had its own, just walking up the driveway, just nonchalant, just, and I'm just sitting, look, no gun, just kind of bebopping. Like he's just gonna go out for a stroll in the property. I'm just like, so I'm watching him, no gun, no nothing. But I'm trying to move as fast as I possibly can tactically, and I'm just like, what the hell? Like, why is this dude just walking around?
Was it that chaotic just in general over there that like that's not
Not, it was just weird. I wonder what was that. It was just weird.
well, that's what I mean for them to just because there's other like again, that's not the first guy that you've mentioned that's just like nonchalant about the fact that these buildings are getting torched and there was just firefights right there. Like
Well, on our way down, I usually don't talk about this, but this is another reason why it kind of took us a few minutes. But when we're moving down the alleyway, one of the neighbors comes out on his cell phone and he's yelling at us. And we're sitting there like, what the hell? What's this guy saying? We're trying to move and he's trying to get in front of us. And the militiamen finally started yelling at him. That came down with us and he finally backed up and we were able to keep moving. It was just like, what the hell are these people doing?
it's a different world, man.
Said, "Man, if there's a firefight going on, I'm not picking my head out, man. I'm a, especially if I'm not in the middle of it, don't know what's going on." Um, so so I get moving on and I get up to where the villa is. And I can hear a bunch of banging going on. So instead of introducing myself into the situation, there's no gunfire. So instead of introducing myself to the situation, knowing there's guns in there because of our guys, I stayed outside and there's a little fighting position, the only really fighting position on the compound. It's and so I kind of take position up there, and I'm sitting there, I got the belt fed, and, hanging out, next thing I know, I hear a car starting. Why the f why is a car starting? Nobody's talking about there's no radio traffic, people moving around, State Department hasn't said nothing.
Yeah.
What the hell? At least well, maybe they could have when I was getting shot at, maybe I just didn't hear it, but I haven't heard anything of none of the 2 guys said anything about them tall ever. So, I'm thinking, "Okay," I know they got up armored vehicles, so I'm thinking, "Oh, this is gonna be awesome." So I'm now getting excited. Really excited because, these vehicles are, about $500,000 that, our taxpayer dollars paid for.
And you guys were just in normal cars.
No, we had up armor too.
Oh,
We
okay.
had both.
Okay.
We had up armors going over there.
Okay.
And, but I'm like, "Oh, here we go. I got a belt-fed machine gun." I mean, I only had 100 rounds because the drum fell off, but, close to 100 rounds. I don't know because I just snapped it in half when I thought it was half. So I'm thinking, okay, so I hear it coming down because it's on the other side of the compound because it was 8 acres, but it's 2 separate compounds. So I can hear it moving, coming up the little dirt road. So I kind of step out of the side of the fighting position to kind of get a better angle. So I start leaning into the saw, take it off safe, getting the slack out. It comes and turns the corner because again, you want to identify who's actually in the vehicle just in case.
Yeah.
Luckily, I did, because as it kinda turned, the spotlight shines right in it, and it's I can I remember, Dave Ubben. That's who was in the passenger seat, and I'm just kinda like, "Damn it," because getting ready to actually shoot the crap out of an up armored
And up armored. You just
load
unload
up.
on it.
Yeah, all green tip, there's no tracers, all green tip.
Jeez.
So I'm like, "Go." So they pull up to the house, and now I got this belt fed, and I got my I'm thinking, "Okay, I'm not gonna be able to search this," because I'm thinking, "Now we have to go do CQB notes, like, what am I gonna do with this?" I'm not and there's a bunch of locals out there at this time, I think, like, the 3 guys or whoever else, there's a couple locals kinda mingling around with guns.
Like just coming to watch and see what's up.
Am I thinking that they could have been part of, like, the 17th Feb guys that were there because 'cause we're assuming, like, 17th Feb's gonna be there and stuff like that. So, I go back to the fighting position, I'm sitting there looking at it, so I take the bolt fed, I take the rounds, and I kind of tuck it into the dark, and then I put a sandbag on top of it. That way, if anybody kinda comes on, at least I kinda know where it's at. So, it's hidden out of the way, and I kinda move up. And now we're gonna be doing more CQB stuff. So I kinda go up, the guys are kinda not there anymore, and I move up on the porch, and I see Roan, he's standing there, and I move up, say, "Hey, what's going on?" And, he kinda looks over to the right, said, he got one of the there's a guy down right there, and I looked, "Is that one of ours or is it one of theirs?" He's like, "I have no idea who it is yet." And I'm like, "Well, hopefully it's one of theirs." Well, I ended up being Sean Smith, communications officer. They had, actually saw that a lot of that banging and stuff, that was them kind of pulling him out, I guess, is what was going on.
When they were crawling around in the building trying to, geez.
So so they were pulling him out, and I was standing there, and he was telling me, "Hey, yeah, they lost the ambassador. They don't know where he is." Again, they're like, "How the hell do you lose the ambassador?" You know, he's like, "I don't know. I mean, he could be in again, like we're thinking maybe he's inside the main area, which we're looking at, and again, it's like pitch dark, it's black smoke pouring out, and I'm thinking, oh." So I kind of had a layout of it because I've been there, multiple times, but I didn't know any of the layout of the safe area because that was all their bedrooms. I'm like,
Oh, okay.
never went to the bedrooms. So I kinda knew the layout, knew the little kitchen area, I still kinda have it in my head for the most part, so but we kinda moved in. I mean, there's like a foyer kind of a thing. I mean, this place is pretty big, and you kinda go in, and then once you go into from the foyer, it was kinda hot, but then once you, like, went through the second part of it, dude, it was like like a bonfire just smacked you right in the f like, you just went from, like, 100 feet away to, like, an inch away. It was like heat was like that, it took your breath away.
And you're just crawling through this, like,
We kinda came back out like, "Holy crap," that was because it caught us off guard because we felt the warmth, but we broke that one part. I mean, we were kinda moving in fast,
yeah,
obviously, then but it just kinda hit us, we kinda came back out like, "Holy crap," that was a sweat just kinda came like I mean, it was just like,
yeah.
so we went back in, kinda stayed together, came back out, and then we went back in again and kinda split up. Um, I think we might have went in 3 times together, split up the 4th time. Anyways, so the last time I kinda went, I followed the right-hand side, which I knew that's where the safe room was, the safe area was, where the exit gate, where the door was. I went up there, got next to it, and yelled, "Chris," 3 times as loud as I could. Only one I heard was from somebody from outside said, "I'm out here." Well, I know that definitely wasn't him,
Yeah.
um, and so that told me 2 things, either he's not in there or he's dead. So, I kind of made my little way around a little bit in that area, then I had to catch my breath because people say, "Just hold your breath." Doing during that movement, doing all that stuff, your adrenaline's pumping, you're not holding your breath. You're just not. So I just follow that wall, kinda come my back way out, I mean, you're hitting furniture and all this other crap. I mean, it's not smooth at all. Plus
Yeah, it's just all by feel pretty much.
all I feel, I mean, you're trying to do what you can because you don't know if that bad guys could have been in there. I mean, you just don't.
Mm.
So I kinda come out coughing, doing trying to catch my breath. Next thing you know, I hear Roan, I'm lost, I can't find my way out. So I just immediately turn right back around, go back in, and I say, "I'm here, come follow my voice, follow my voice, follow my voice." Again, I have them pretty much just, just walking in, just with the map in my head, trying to picture because it's got like steps and stuff that's area, and that's kind of where he was, where I heard his voice. Because again, it's pitch black. You can't see the floor. You're just bumping into things. So he's trying to map it into my head. Picture the furniture, and hopefully they have it all in the same spot. But it was all turned over and all that stuff anyway. So they had already moved everything. The attackers did. So I ended up running into him as he's getting ready to go into another area, which was it was pretty much it was kind of a jacked up location for the most part, but it was completely engulfed in flames. It was kind of like their dining area just engulfed. They had lit the table on fire and all that crap. So it got to him. So we went back. So it got him out. Um, so we're up on the porch, just kind of gagging, from all the smoke and stuff like that. And so it's not a normal house fire like you think here in the States, even though it's still thick black smoke. But a lot of people don't realize over there they thin their paint also with diesel.
What?
Yeah.
Well, and in the book, they talked about, like, they were dousing everything on top of that. On
They use diesel to start everything up.
Jeez.
So, the only reason why I know that because I've saw it there, and I've actually seen it in Pakistan and Afghanistan where they use diesel to thin the paint. I don't know why, but I don't know if it helps it at all, but that's so a lot of houses when you go in, it stinks so bad of gas because that's what they do.
Just, like, all the time, there's, like, that ambient smell of fuel.
Yeah, no, it goes away after a while.
Okay.
But, I mean, I don't know, I mean, they don't pour like a gallon in a gallon, but they
Yeah.
out I guess it helps it go a little bit further. Uh, but, so But they don't have, I'm pretty sure some of that stuff had asbestos in it and stuff like that. I don't think they have the same, codes that we do anymore and that we do, but so we're sitting out there, their guys are trying to go in and out. They're having the same issues, like, we can't freaking breathe. I get on the radio and see, "Hey, trying to get back to base." Because at this time, I'm also thinking, they gotta start locking the city down. They gotta be getting home to local law enforcement or something like that, because there was law enforcement and stuff like that, the local, military units that were there, that were kinda there, the Transitional National Committee, whatever they were called at the time.
So there was some order, like,
Yeah, there was
generally. Okay.
yeah. I mean, hell, I made the fake IDs for us to get around to when the official, facilities.
Okay.
Still.
Really?
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
So, yeah, I made fake IDs. Um,
It checks out with every. I feel like the the little shithead nature that you've kind of hinted to a little bit. But,
right?
yeah.
So I said, "Hey, do we have, like, gas masks or anything at our compound?" Get our, local guard force, one of them to drive it over here. That didn't really go anywhere. Then I was like, "Guys, take your shirts off, go over there and, you know, and, wet your shirt in the pool. That will probably help so you can breathe a little bit more. Because again, you're not holding your breath. I know everybody thinks, "I'll just hold my breath." You're not gonna hold your breath in that environment. Your adrenaline's pumping too much. So, as that's going on, Tonto and OD finally decided to join in the fight. I think they were taking a nap or something, I don't know. Um, so they're getting ready to come into the back gate. So myself and Roan, we move towards the back gate while Jack is kind of helping with those guys. I think he was still attending to Sean Smith at the time also. So myself and I think Jack eventually did come over. I just remember me and Roan for the most part. But I think Jack did eventually come over um, to that side before we actually moved to the second part of the compound. But then Tonto and OD came over the gate. The militia guys that followed Tonto asked him to open the gate. Tonto unlocked, opened the gate. Then Tonto will say the same thing. Don't speak Durka Durka, but and he said in English, if when you come in, make sure you close the gate. Well, all they did was shake their head. Unfortunately, them they didn't close and lock the gate. So, we kinda did our thing. We moved across this orchard, again, trying to clear it as best we could. There was one little shack that was there. Me and OD moved to that first, again, just in case somebody's hiding in it, and, cleared that, then moved over. Um, I actually forgot about this part. So we move up to it, there's a bunch of, again, I don't know, about 5 militia guys with us or something like that. So we kinda move up, and they're kinda because they just kinda went straight there. So as we come moving up, he kind of just pops around the corner and just with his AK. So we're thinking there's bad guys over there. So we're like, "Oh, crap," you know? "Alright, here we go. You guys ready?" Right? So we kinda roll really aggressively, kinda come around it's empty. It's, like, eerie empty, So we're like, "What the hell is going on?" You know? So we move in, we move towards the TOC, which is, their, tactical operations center, the command post. One of their guys that he's in there. Again, I keep forgetting if it's Alec or which guy was in there and stuff like that, but he's in there, the door's locked, we're trying to get him on the radio. It's like, "Hey, come open the door." He won't open the door. We're trying to kick the doors and so I get the belt fed and we're like, "All right, we're getting ready to shoot your door open. You're coming out."
What?
'Cause, we're trying to clear the buildings,
Yeah.
it's there because we don't know if we're gonna stay there. We don't know really because we still gotta find the ambassador.
Yeah.
So as I'm getting ready to again, to get the slack, he's, "Oh, I'm coming, I'm coming." It's like, "Damn," so I went and I posted up. They had a carport, another armored vehicle, and they had a huge field that, that into just a bunch of shrub and stuff like that. Um, and again, their lights and put the MVGs on, flood the MVGs. So they weren't like the best of the best like people think the agency gets, but anyways, so I'm just sitting there, I'm just watching the field because, they can come over the walls or whatever else, so I'm just kinda watching this whole area as they're gathering all this stuff, and I told him, say, "Hey, I'm gonna go over here." I think it was, might have been OD or Tonto, but, a lot of stuff was happening. I don't really blame them, but I'm gonna blame him anyways because he's a Marine. So they went over to the chow hall, which is another building across, so there's a lot of stuff going on, so I'm just kinda watching the perimeter for the most part because I got the belt fed, and I mean, that's what you do with a belt fed, you don't really go clear buildings for the most part. So I'm just watching the perimeter. They go in, I can still kind of hear them. Next thing it kind of gets quiet, but I'm just thinking they're in there either destroying stuff, gathering their intel stuff from the talk. Next thing you know, I hear on the radio from the team leader, "Hey, Tig, where you at?" "I'm over at the talk of the carport." You're like, "Why the hell are you over there? We're all over here at the main villa." I'm going, "You got
They just didn't say anything, and they
left me." I'm just like, so it ain't like I'm hiding. I'm like literally like the door's like 20 feet, 30 feet away from me. I'm just like, this.
Jeez.
I do the Paul Lewis thing, and I'm running, over there. I get there, and as I'm kind of moving up, I hear Dave Ubens talking to the team leader, and all I hear is, we don't have any guns. So, I got 3 guns on me, so I take the belt fed, I hand it down, and I hit the belt 'cause I was done carrying it anyway. It's just,
Too bad you lost your grenade launcher there, devil.
I know, even though I know exactly where it was. So, I put it down. I just remember him saying, "Wait, I need this for," and I just kind of ignored him. Just go, "Here you go." But I was gonna go into the house anyways. So, it was better than leaving it by the sandbags like I did like I had kinda had to the first time, but it's still, to me, it was still better than putting it on the porch in front of all these locals. I had no idea who the hell we were.
Yeah.
So, went up to the porch, and again, they're still looking for the ambassador. Started going through the window, freaking that's when I lost my night vision because I didn't go low enough, kinda, because they sit up a little bit high, and it's just freaking smacked them. That's when I kinda jacked my neck up. uh
Mm.
So, lost my MVGs, which pretty much, again, didn't do me any good on that until, well, anyways. So, I'm going in, trying to figure out what it is, and I went around the bed trying to open the other window, but I didn't know how their blast windows work, so I'm just trying to figure it out as much as I could, trying to just open it up to vent more air in, get more of the smoke out. Um, so the first time I went in, that's what I was trying to do. I was just trying to operate the window and trying to get it up. Couldn't figure it out. Went back out and then went back in and just, probably doing the same searches that these guys did already, but I don't know, and then trying to figure out, what room was where and stuff like that. But, so damn thick and, couldn't really process anything for the most part. Came
Yeah.
back out. When I came back out, kinda like everybody was, for the most part, kinda moved off the porch. They had actually moved Sean Smith's body, but what was going on, they're moving him. They actually moved him from there to the back of our vehicle that the team leader was in. They brought it was he didn't they drove down instead of coming on foot. They drove down. Then he had gathered all the State Department guys up into their vehicles. He was gonna get them to leave the compound and go to our compound. So, while I was kinda sitting there, while trying to process thing, kinda catch my breath, that whole thing that you kinda learn, I don't know if they still do it, but kindergarten, 1st grade, where they teach you, the firefighters come in, they teach you to, get on your belly when there's a fire. So,
Stop, drop, and rolls, or
oh, no,
talking about just crawling?
just crawling.
Yeah.
So, I was like, why, I was like, "Okay," so I took all my gear off so I could get as low as I could. So, I took all my gear off, left I even took my helmet off so I could just kinda maneuver a little bit better. So, I took it all off, put it in the corner, got in there, got my flashlight out, even left my rifle kinda up in the corner, and just kinda went in there, got on my belly, and I was like, "Holy crap." You could see, you could breathe for the most part, and so I just started crawling, again, just looked underneath the bed, just double checking everything. Went out, through that first door, and just stayed kinda to the right. Just, I mean, you could see across for the most part, but I didn't know where these guys went. Yeah, I have no idea.
Yeah.
I was just gonna stay to the right and just kinda go to every door, every room, so I could breathe pretty good. I went to the first one was like a bathroom, searched around in there, crawled out, and, came into, another room, searched in there, searched in the bed, the on top of the bed, under the bed, in the closet, stuff like that. As I was coming out, an RPG actually hit the wall. So this started the counter assault on the consulate.
Of the building,
Of
it hit. Oh, geez.
So, I mean, that kinda rings you a little bit. So, I could see where the room that I just came out because I was able to track because I could see everything pretty good. So, I just immediately just jumped up, ran out. I mean, gunfire's going off and stuff like that. I get out, um, get my gear on, and I peek around the corner to see where the gunfire's coming from, and other RPGs going off. Well, I can see the gunfire's coming towards the back gate. There's a ladder leading up to the roof. I climb up on the roof. get on the radio, let the team leader say, "Hey, I'm up on the roof." And that was really just to let them know in case I get whacked, I'm up on the roof. That way they're not searching for me like they are the ambassador.
Yeah.
So I start creeping up towards the back gate. And as I get closer, I pop up. Same time I pop up, the guy shooting the RPG pops into view. I let loose 10 to 15 round volley of fire. He drops and everything stops. That ended that counter assault. Uh, OD and Tonto came up on the roof. Then a few minutes later, Jack came up on the roof. Um, during the hit, initial counter assault, the team leader again had gotten all the State Department guys gathered up in their vehicle. And when the attack happened, Tonto was pretty close to the vehicle. It's up armored vehicle. He had moved around to the side of the vehicles, and used it as cover and started engaging. You know, I kind of have a little grudge about this, but instead of those guys getting out of that vehicle and helping us defend their compound, they actually honked their horn to move Tonto off the vehicle so they could take off.
No fucking way.
So they took off. They were told, make sure when you do leave, though, you go to the left. They end up going to the right. They got attacked because they went right through the people who were attacking us. But luckily, I mean, they did make it back to our compound. And but from my understanding, that also led them to our compound. So hell led them where they were going.
Also, I feel stupid for saying that. Obviously, I've never been in combat. I've never been there. So that was stupid. But like, that is, I can see where you would have a grudge with that. And it's,
I have a dick move.
yes. Obviously, I can't say because I haven't been in a situation like that, but that is freaking wild.
But I mean, how could you? I mean, it's your compound. We were there. We came there to help you out, and you ditched us.
Well, I mean, that's one of the things that the book talks about when you guys are defending the annex was one of you guys went back downstairs to get stuff, and there's a bunch of people just sitting around, like
Yeah.
weapons trained, weapons qualified people just hanging out while, yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, so they get up on the roof, trying to figure out what we're gonna do. If we're gonna, no, still nobody knew the location of the ambassador. Nobody, if he got kidnapped, if he took off on foot, if he was dead inside. So it's like one of those things. Do we kind of wait here, wait out for the smoke, and kind of, just kind of cover the building? What's going to happen? Well, the drone showed up. I guess I don't know what time they said, like 11:30, 12 o'clock, or whatever. Sometime over there. So they were kind of watching, and as they're up there, um, the video feed was they said there's about 100 to 150 people moving towards your location right now. So that kinda told us, again, it kinda sucked, but there's, technically 5 shooters. The team leader wasn't really engaging. We had a linguist with us, unknown. I mean, there's, again, dozens of locals. Don't know who they are, some with guns, some without guns. Some of them could have been the attackers. We had no idea. So
Yeah, just waiting for.
yeah, and there's just things like, okay, we got to go. I mean, the ambassador could not have even been in there. We had no idea. So we got down. We got in our vehicle. We headed back towards the way we came in, and we were going to our plan was to actually stop and get the other vehicle. So when we got there, we started slowing down. And then we get around the corner, dude, there's 2 more gun trucks, probably about 3 dozen individuals, some armed, some unarmed. And it was just kind of one of those quick things, dude, we can't risk it. Go, go, go. And
Because it could be 17 Feb
or the
this company-sized element of people coming in. Jeez.
So myself and Jack, our backpacks were in that vehicle because again, we expected to come back and actually get the vehicle.
Yeah.
It is what it is. And the grenade launcher was in the vehicle. So I did not lose it. It just got put back in the vehicle. And, I mean, there's nights everybody's like, "Where's the grenade launcher?" And I'm just like, there's no reason to bring up where it was. So it's like, where was it? It was in the vehicle. So before I continue, so that vehicle, it got left there. Then nobody went and actually picked it up. It actually one of their assets got the vehicle. It sat at their house, I guess, for 3 months, and then finally got broken into, and everything got stolen.
Wow.
So somebody's got my ID and and a pretty cool grenade launcher.
Someone does have a pretty sick grenade launcher and a couple rounds left for on that sling. But you
I
care if
want to
we
say, oh
go
yeah,
ahead.
they probably got 11 rounds.
That's a solid
Yeah,
snag. Yeah.
it is.
Do you care if we take a break real quick so I can hit the bathroom?
Sounds good.
All right. All right. So before I had to pee, you were just telling us, I think reminding everyone how you did lose your grenade launcher.
Yeah, so we'd go right by that again. Yeah, it sat in that vehicle for about 3 months before it finally got broken in. That's what I was told, for about 3 months before it got broken into and actually stolen. So so we yeah, so we went by, we just took off, went back to our compound, dismounted, and I do remember seeing their vehicle, thinking like, "What the hell happened?" Like seeing I mean, every window was peppered with bullets, and but whatever, you just kind of keep going, and so we kind of set up our perimeter, got ready because I mean they came at us once, they counter assaulted the consulate once. They're getting ready to come and hit it for a third time, technically. So I mean, when I say three times, they overran it once. We pushed them off. They hit us again. And then after we pushed them away, they were going to hit us again. So pretty much they were going to hit the consulate 3 times. So then we took off, and the odds of them not coming to hit us were pretty slim to none. I mean, wasn't slim to none. I mean, it's pretty obvious they're right gonna come after. So we got right into our fighting positions, ready to go. Tonto again asked for I think he asked for a Spectre. Yeah, he asked for a Spectre gunship before he left, because we kind of knew what was kind of in the area fairly close to us.
Mhm.
Uh, and then when we got back, he asked about the Spectre. Nobody's, they didn't say anything about it. We asked about 17 Feb. They said they haven't had any contact yet with 17 Feb.
And was that getting piped through who? This info,
I
like
don't.
who's your relay?
That's so ours is just shortwave radio, Motorola kind of stuff.
Okay.
Oh yeah, it's no satcom, no nothing like this. This is just between us and the base,
Jeez.
kind of stuff.
Okay.
I don't know what kind of, if it got pushed through cable traffic or anything. I think it might. I think the Spectre might have once got requested, but I don't know. I'd have to ask
Mm.
our comms guy, the eight. But anyways, so again, 70 Feb again. They kept saying they never had comms with them. So we're sitting there. The first attack, um, happened probably about 1 in the morning, I think. So fairly quickly after we got back, it felt like we were over at the constant for freaking hours, man. It felt like we were there forever, but according to the timeline, we were there for like maybe an hour.
Did
It
did
felt
you
like forever.
did you like by the time, I mean there was I don't even know if that count. I mean, probably didn't feel like downtime, right? Like in between, but like was there any sense of a crash even between then, or was it still just like
No,
on, I
there were
guess?
some points. I mean, there was a lag, I would say, between the second and the final hit on our compound. There's a pretty good lag when I could feel the kind of the drag going down, but after that one, it didn't really hit again until probably about noon after that. But
Jeez.
no, not even noon, no, because we got out of no, it was about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So, but, yeah, so the first attack happened, and we kinda knew about the team from Tripoli. They had got a hold of a jet, and they were kinda on their way to Benghazi. Um,
And this is more GRS and then two
yeah,
Delta guys.
yep.
Right.
GRS, Delta guys and a linguist were coming down, another linguist. Um, and so about 1 in the morning, we got hit. And it was, in the movie, it kinda shows it up yet. So I got another set of NVGs for Tonto, got some water for Oz, delivered, Tonto the night vision goggles as these guys they're kinda moving in towards us. I know in the movie, it kinda shows wide open field, that's not what it looked like. They had a lot of cover coming up, and people say, "Well, why don't you engage them?" again, we didn't know who they were. We weren't sure if there was suddenly Fed coming in. We didn't know if it was getting like the local military coming in, kind of setting up a perimeter for us. We didn't know what was going because our team leader and our chief of base wasn't really telling us crap. We asked them, "Hey, is this 17th Feb?" They're like, "No, we have no idea who it is." But our thing is also you just don't want to whack people who could be friendly. Next thing you know, we're fighting the whole city like Mogadishu. So
Jeez.
we kinda we kinda had to wait for the most part, when we did. So as I'm moving over to get water, to get some water to Oz, so whatever it was, I think it was like a gelatina bomb, but we kinda flew over the wall, landed, again, probably about 25 to 30 feet or so away from me, exploded. I remember dropped the water, gunfire starts going off, RPG flies over the wall. They always seem to aim high, but I just remember like dropping it, kind of tucking down, kind of protecting myself as best as I could. Once it kind of cleared, I kind of patted myself, making sure I wasn't hit with anything. Ran up to the tower, got in the firefight, uh, was engaging. And then the movie again shows I got shot in the chest. I didn't. I got shot in the side. I didn't lay down in the tower for 30 minutes like a little crybaby. Uh,
I wish I could see your face, dude.
I was just like when I watched that, I only watched the movie once because some there's so I was just like, yep, and like I'm like,
Yeah.
why is he still late? Well, so I mean, it got this. I mean,
Yeah.
around. I mean, it freaking, but it's the first time I actually wore my side plates, but I never go, it's
Mm.
very much a hostage rescue situation. So I call it my battle rattle. So it had the full side plates and everything. And so I reached my hand up under it to kind of make sure it didn't penetrate. Cause I mean, it hurt. So, yeah. Planted up. I mean, obviously there's a bunch of sweat and stuff, but I didn't feel a hole. So I was actually like scratching my skin to see if I could feel anything.
Mhm.
Uh, Digging in, didn't feel anything, so I got back on my gun and started re-engaging. So I might have been out maybe, 10 seconds, 20 seconds at the most. So, and then got back in the fight, in the movie, like, I'm like, why is the guy still laying there? Like, yeah.
Does that I mean, with the book and the movie, does that I mean, there's in but the inaccuracies and stuff, was that 'cause did they consult you guys directly on that stuff?
I mean, the movie that they did, but a lot of people a lot of these movies that they say that are,
Based on a true story.
true stories, you have to sign your life rights away, so they get free reign of how they wanna do it. You
Oh,
get no control. The only thing they have control over is if they screw it up so bad, you just say, "I won't promote it." They can still say it's based on a true story.
wow.
So, but the movie, again, 50% accurate, I would say, overall.
Okay.
Um, so again, get back in it where he pushed them off, I don't know how long it lasted, but again, all that stuff seems to last forever for the most part. Um, During this time, after that, you're hearing the, case officers, they're going around, they're getting their personal belongings, the toiletry stuff, so when they're done, I get on the team and say, "Hey, where you at?" He's on the front he's like, "Okay, I'm on the front porch of building 3." I go over there, start talking to him, he's like, "Hey, we need to start rotating ourselves because if you're planning on evacuating, we need to have our own personal stuff as well, our laptops, our wedding rings." Sometimes, we don't carry our wedding rings or wallets and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I went in, gathered my stuff really quick, uh, put it in the building 3, kinda came out, and I was talking with them, and they're it as, get the vehicles are starting to gather back up, where the first ones were, kinda skipped a little bit, but vehicles starting to gather up what they were, but what he was telling me is that, "Hey, they think they found the ambassador, they found him inside the villa, or trying to get verification if it was him." So this was about 1:30 in the morning. So before I go, I'll kind of fill in what actually happened with the ambassador because a lot of people again. So there was the reason why I bring it up because there was a picture that circulated after the attack or after everything happened and stuff saying the ambassador was tortured, he was mutilated, he was raped, and all this crap. Well, if you ever see that picture popping up, that's not him. I attack it every single time I see it when people say it's him because it's bullshit. It's not him. Is actually that's an Egyptian from I think it was like 2006 or something like that. But so what happened to the ambassador? He went pretty much from the bathroom right to his bedroom. That's where he died. They found him on his bed. He died
Just
of
from the smoke.
yeah. So the looters and the attackers, it was a mix, I guess, what I was told. They went in after the smoke had dissipated and stuff like that. They found a white guy, a gringo, um, on the bed. They dragged him out. They had no idea who they had. If they did, they wouldn't have let him go. So that's how, again, to me, that's how I know. And it might have been a kidnapping attempt, but they had no idea what the bastard looked like. You know what I'm saying?
Which, yeah, so that's kind of hard to reconcile that like it was a kidnapping attempt if they didn't even know he was there, or presumably if they didn't even know what he looked like.
So, but the next door neighbor knew who he was because he had talked with the master secret several times. He was there also and saw who it was. Told his driver to go get his car. He grabbed the ambassador from them and dragged him up the driveway and threw him in his car and took him to the hospital. Um, I saw it. So because when I went and testified the second time, they asked me to sit and watch the video. So I
Oh, fuck.
the whole video footage. You could see, I mean, his eyes were just glassed. You could tell he was already gone. They did try to resuscitate him at the hospital, but he was in that building that was on fire, thick black smoke from, I'll just say, from 10 o'clock until 1:30 in the morning. You're gonna tell me he was alive? There's no way. So regardless, again, he wasn't stabbed, he wasn't raped, he wasn't mutilated. People say, "Well, look at his belt buckle. Look at," they're clawing at this guy. He could have been clawing at himself. He could have been doing all kinds of, you know, none of that crap. It's all bullshit.
Yeah.
He was dragged to the hospital, taken straight to the hospital. Again, I saw the video footage personally. There's no second hand. I saw it. So I mean, it was all the way. I mean, he had his phone running all the way to when the doctors took him and took him to the back. So
I mean, so it's
doctors
okay.
the doctors raped and mutilated and tortured him. It never happened to him. So so we got that phone call, and then when I was sitting there talking with him, there was probably getting close to about 3 in the morning. So again, we had gaps of the attacks. I mean, it wasn't like constant 13-hour attacks. Um, the people they were gathering, they actually had a vehicle. Again, we're Tonto's asking him. I asked him when we got in hold of 17 Feb. No, we haven't got hold of 17 Feb yet. No, we have no comms with them. So these guys, they move in. Again, we're not going to shoot at people. This is from Oz's point of view now. The vehicle kind of pulls up. So we had Jersey Bears pushed out about 50 yards. So that way nobody could, pull up to our wall and explode, on the backside at least.
Mhm.
They pull up. Guy kind of comes out, walks around to the side, pops his trunk, and then pulls out again. I think one of the guys pulled out a grenade. The other one pulled out an RPG. Oz shoots him. The one other guy gets off again. The RPG shoots over the wall, and that started the second attack. So, team leader runs back into the building. I run back over to Tower 3 and re-engage. We push away those attackers again fairly quickly. 5-10 minutes. Same with the first one. Second attack had about double the amount of guys. Don't really know because again I broke my MVGs. Couldn't really count. I was kind of shooting off the flashes and stuff like that.
And I guess using tracers to lock on your rounds.
No, we didn't have tracers.
So you were just
So I just kind of light up my red dot with the where the kind of where the flashes were.
oh, okay. Okay. That makes sense.
But yeah, most part they're for the most part a lot of people are right-handed. They don't often shoot out of the shoulder. They kind of shoot from the hip for the most part. So I would just kind of estimate that and just kind of adjust over a little bit, and that's where I would kind of shoot.
Okay.
So I mean, I could have missed everybody. I don't even know. I know I tagged the guy over at the concert. That's about it. So again,
That's crazy, man. All of it is just it's with I mean, then things like having been escalating, right? There be having, and I know you said like the request for extra security were kind of like the norm at that point and stuff, but even
that
just
was
like
for the consulate, not US. We were good.
Okay. But
We
still,
didn't
man.
have the footprint that they had. So we were pretty clandestine. We were pretty quiet. We didn't have a bunch of people coming and going. We had vehicles coming and going, but for the most part, we were really quiet.
Okay.
Just a normal compound.
Mm.
Um, just because we just looked like the neighborhood. Um, our next door neighbor actually thought we were British, so
What? Okay.
so that would be.
Yeah. I guess they're
Um,
playing the role.
so uh, So about that time, though, that's when the team from Tripoli finally landed in Benghazi, but the militia that was supposed to pick them up didn't pick them up, so they were kind of stuck where they were. But we repelled them. Um, Nothing again. It was pretty dead. Nothing was going on. But again, about 3 in the morning was when they finally verified it was the ambassador. They got video. They got the video footage that I saw that verified it was actually him. So the militia that was supposed to pick up the team from Tripoli. Well, after that firefight, Oz moved from the tower. He went and got his stuff, and then he kind of moved up and got. That's how he ended up on building 3. Was he was going up there to talk with Roan and get Roan to kind of we were going to start rotating. So the team from Tripoli, they finally they got a hold of the other militia. They showed up and they were going to start to bring them over. Tonto, he was on building 2. He moved over to building 1 to provide the lasso or the laser that a lot of people talk about when they say we're lasering targets. Well, I mean, I did laser 2 guys once, but it wasn't to target. It was to let them know to quit coming towards us, and it worked because they had no firearms, they had no guns, because there was the area that by our compound was also full of sheeps and stuff. So they had sheep herders or whatever, goat herders that would come throughout the night and watch over them.
Mhm.
But
So you did the visible, and then he's doing the
yeah,
IR
I
lasso.
turned and walked and moved away. But to me, we had just finished a firefight. I'm like, these people are just weird stuff.
The disconnect, man, is kind of mind-boggling, but to everything that you've talked about is so crazy.
And so So Tonto moved over there. They're driving in. He's lassoing them in so they can see the laser. He's doing the IR laser straight up in the air. He's not lasering a target. And the drone, for a lot of people that don't also realize this is going to come in a little bit later, the drone wasn't watching our compound whatsoever. When the drone showed up after we got to our compound, we told him, "We don't need you watching us. We can see ourselves. Watch that mob at the consulate and let us know if they start coming towards us." That's what we were worried about. So they didn't know we were being attacked. Okay. They didn't see any of this. So
Wow.
yeah, so that part kind of sucks. That'll come into play here. And I kind of explain a few things that I learned 10 years later.
Okay.
So the team from Tripoli, they showed up. Again, they had like five vehicle militia guys that picked them up, which was I forgot exactly who they were now. Can't think of the name. Um, they showed up. The commander of the militia walked into the to building 3, our command post, with them for some reason, maybe to get eyes on our compound. Anyways, so they go in, they're talking, we're sitting there. I knew they showed up. I'm like, okay, cool. They're gonna, maybe they'll come out and kind of give us a break. Let us take like a 5-minute break and get just a break. We've kind of been at it for a little bit. So we're sitting there. I know Tonto's on those. I think he said something on the radio at one point, and
Is he talking shit?
yeah, they gonna come and relieve us or something like that. I think he might have said shit or something. I know he, yeah. Anyways, so I'm thinking the same thing. What the hell's going on? But again, I know they had their own thing, but but Bub served on the teams with Roan, so that's how Bub ended up on the roof with Roan.
Mhm.
Just wanted to kind of talk, I guess, also see what's going on. But he could have figured out what was going on inside the talk too. But he obviously SEALs, hanging out. They knew each other from the teams and stuff like that. So while he was up there, he's being introduced to Dave Ubin, who was also up there, the State Department guy,
Mhm.
um, and Oz. So all 4 of them are kind of up there, probably introducing the. Ron was probably, kind of telling him what happened and stuff. Dave was probably telling him what happened. They're probably just talking all a short period of time because you're probably within 10, 15 minutes, you know, I mean, it's quiet. Next thing you know, I hear what it sounds like a mortar going off. It's just a thunk, and I'm thinking, there's no way. It's like the city in my mind, again, I'm thinking Hollywood movies, utopia, like they have to have the city locked down. I mean, we just went through, you know, almost 3 attacks at the consulate, 2 attacks over here. This is kind of a semi decent country, and then I'm trying to compare my time over into, Pakistan where they would send the military, they would lock down protests, and push them away, and the local military would come and kinda help protect, 'cause it's still a kind of a civilized country, it's not a war-torn country in a way. I mean, it kinda was, but still anyways. So it wasn't like Iraq or Afghanistan, nothing like that.
I mean, it was kind of militias vying for power, though, right? Like in the vacuum after.
They kinda had a standing military. I mean, they were working on it. We went to the bases a couple times. We talked to their actual military heads and stuff like I think they just weren't really structured, organized enough. They had a police force, they had a structure, but they were assassinating police chiefs and stuff like that at the time too. So
Jeez.
I mean, it was but to me, I was still thinking anyways, but you still deal with it. But I'm just thinking like, they gotta be lying. But as I'm getting ready to key the radio, Tonto comes on. Did anyone else hear that sound like a mortar? And I get on, I said, "Yeah," and then wham. First one hits, it hits, and to me, it hit long outside the back wall about 25 yards, um, and 25 yards from the back wall and 25 west of building 3. And small arms fire, RPG hits the back wall. I guess there's like a small arms attack as well, so it was a coordinated attack with mortar.
But the mortars kicked it off.
Some mortars kicked it off. I think the mortar hit Pong, so I think it also scared the shit out of their own attackers because they stopped continuing once. Because Roan was up there, he had the belt fit at the time, so he was laying hate on them. You can hear our ARs going off, which is probably it was probably Oz. And then I heard another one going off. It came in, nicked the top of the wall, exploded probably about 10 feet directly behind building 3, but on the other side of the wall. But when it hit the top of the wall, it said shrapnel up. I think that took Dave Ubin out because he had, been sitting there for about 2.5 hours, nothing going on, and I'm taking his
Mhm.
helmet off. That he got a bunch of shrapnel in the forehead. He drops out and then another one goes off. So from my point of view, they just attack and that our area and that side like 2 times. I'm also thinking they're trying to take the tower out so they can attack on that side and penetrate that side of the wall. So I jump off the tower, start moving back towards the gym area when that third round lands, hits on top of the roof, and I guess 2 more follow like directly behind it, which I only remember the one hitting. But I guess it was just in I guess they could see three flashes from the security cameras, just
Oh,
like wham really quick.
after the fact. Okay.
Yeah. But again, I just remember still just remember the one. So everything goes quiet. I get on the radio, and I'm slowly starting to walk towards that way, and I'm like, "You guys on top of building 3, you guys all good?" Team leader gets on, says, Yeah, we're all fine in here." Tell him to shut the hell up. I'm not talking about you, talking about the guys on top of the building. Jack, you can pretty much see where building 4 is. You can kind of pretty much see atop the building, but it was, there was still smoke and stuff. He's like, "Hey, Tig, I don't see any movement." So I started sprinting over there, started climbing up the ladder, and I get to where I know I'm about ready to come to where I'm about ready to break the top of the back wall. So I kind of start slowing down, trying to check, watch my backside as well as I'm trying to climb up the ladder. Once I get to a point where I know I'm close enough, I just kinda hop over really quick. I didn't see anybody whatsoever. Get over the top and immediately pretty much, start looking across and, there's a pistol right in my face pretty much, pretty close anyways. But it's the first guy is Dave Ubin. He's got his pistol out. Luckily, he didn't shoot me. Um, his left leg, left arm are pretty much severed. I just immediately just start talking to him. Just say, "Just calm down. I got you. I got you." Started going through my go. Actually, I ended up grabbing Oz's go bag because mine was left in the vehicle. That had tourniquets, medical gear, and stuff like that. Because he went and did his stuff. He just left his in the tower. So then when I knew I was jumping out, I just grabbed his medical bag. Anyways, so I started going through his stuff, trying to find where he had his tourniquets and stuff like that. pulled out 2 tourniquets, again, just trying to talk with him, but, grabbed his gun, put it off the side, got on the radio, said, "Hey, I got guys down up here, I need help." Um, Took the first tourniquet, put it on his leg, uh, got it up tight, arm, same thing, got it on, and got on the radio again and said, "Hey, I got guys down, I need help." Because to me, I'm like going, it could have been really quick, I don't know, but, you know, the call on the radio, find 2 tourniquets, get 2 tourniquets on, that's a lot of time. It's not
Yeah.
your bag. It takes time to find things that are somebody else's bag. So, I'm kinda irritated in a way. So I go to get up, because I'm looking over as much as I can. I'm not gonna break, white discipline because if a lot of people don't know about mortars, a lot of mortars, they require a spotter. So what a spotter is, he's watching where the mortars land, and what he does, he adjusts the fire from the mortar team. So when that first round hit, it's what he'll do. He'll tell that mortar team, drop 25, right 25. It depends on where he's sitting at. He could be, up 25, left 25. Depends on where he's at. That's what he's going to do. If he's really good, he can be odd on because again, that second round was almost dead on. Uh,
And then they fired for effect with
yeah.
those three.
Well, all he had to do was drop, again, 20 yards, and just he probably said drop 20, fire for effect. That's what he did. So me putting my light on tells them there's still people alive. So I'm just assessing Dave Ubin as much as I can in the dark. Just, hey man, he's moving, he's breathing. I'm not seeing nothing else. Adjust the major bleeding that I can see, because now I got 3 other guys. Well, I'm thinking 2 other guys, because Oz and Roan, and so I get up to move, and Dave's like, "Hey, give me back my pistol." I'm thinking, "Oh crap." Because, somebody's been his bell's been rung, you don't want him to shoot anybody else that's coming over the wall. So I'm like, but he didn't shoot me, but I still gotta make sure he's losing a lot of blood. So I'm thinking I'm processing this stuff as fast as I can. They teach you when someone has been, it's been that much pretty much trauma, that much brain, impact and stuff like that, don't ever give them a gun. Well, I don't think like that. Me, it's also a security blanket. It's also trying to keep him from going into shock. It gives him something to process, gives him something else to think about.
Yeah.
Get back his gun, but I downloaded. I dropped the mag, unloaded it. I tried to be quiet about it. I kind of unclipped it. Did it. As quiet as I could. And I don't know if you heard or not. And then I handed it back. So here you go, man. Be safe. I'll be back. And then I kind of moved on. Started moving towards, I could hear somebody again. He still had it. I mean, it wasn't like I couldn't see, but he still had like the dust of everything still settling. So I mean, it wasn't like clear at all yet. So I couldn't really see completely across the roof, and it was only like a 60 yards maybe across the roof. So it wasn't like really, but it's still a pretty big roof. But I couldn't physically see the other guy, but I could see one guy in the middle of the roof. He wasn't moving, so I'm just moving towards the sound. Next thing only had to go like 10 yards, and I could see him. But then I could see him. I could see another guy just laying there and not moving. So I go towards the guy who's actually moving. He's laying up. He's leaning up against the wall, and it's Oz. He's kinda sitting there. He had a tourniquet next to him, which was good because I only had those 2, and he's kinda playing with his hand. He's saying, "Hey, check this out," and he's kinda bouncing his hand up and down because it got a pretty nice big chunk out of it. It's just it's not moving. I was like, "Dude, stop doing that, man. It's gonna make it worse. You know your mom said that, quit." There's that
Was was he trying to be funny?
No, it's just things that I, usually,
Yeah.
and,
Gosh, dude.
So, I get on the radio again. I said, "Hey, I got guys down. I need help." This is the 3rd time I've asked for help. And then, I just keep going. I'm not stopping. I grab his tourniquet, and as I'm putting it on, I hear Dave, uh, OD. He gets on the radio, and he's like, "If nobody's gonna, get up on the roof and help Tig, I'm getting off the damn roof, and I'll go do it myself." And he's over at another building. Team leader gets on the radio, and he's like, "No, stay where you are. We're on our way." And as I'm getting in, at this time, I'm standing Oz up, but in my mind, I'm going, "You're on your way." Like, dude, I've just slapped 3 tourniquets on you. You're on your way. And I'm just like, whatever. And I go, "Hey, Oz, can you walk by yourself? Can you get yourself to your ladder?" You know, 'cause it was his arm. I'm looking him up and down again. I can't really see anything 'cause I'm not, it's still kind of dark. And he's like, "Yeah, I guess I got no choice." So I guide him a little bit. He kind of stumbles, wobbles a little bit. Let him go. Go over to the third guy, roll him over. He's kind of just laid in the fetal position, actually facing the back wall. Roll him over, end up being Roan. Um, I do a pulse check. No, I couldn't feel a pulse, but his throat moved. So I kind of check a pulse again. Couldn't feel anything. Um, and then that's when I was like, okay, now I gotta kind of do a thing called what you teach them. Well, I remember from the Marine Corps, look, listen, feel.
Mm.
Or, I got to rip off his gear, to lift up his body armor, rip up his shirt, and put 'em so you put your ear down towards their mouth, and you're looking down their stomach line as best you can, and you're trying to hear a breath, feel a breath, or see if their stomach moves. So that takes a few seconds. And I can't hear anything, which I probably couldn't anyways, but I couldn't feel or definitely couldn't see anything. So at that point, it kinda came, "Well, now I'm gonna have to break the light discipline." So get my flashlight out, diet and, so shine in his eyes. There's no dilation. It's just pupils are just wide. So that point, it kinda tells me, like, he's gone, and Oz at this time, when I kinda looked over to see where Oz was at, he was swinging over the ladder, and one of the guys was finally up there. So I was kinda pretty much finished assessing, Roan when they finally made it onto the roof. But I knew when Oz got down there and he finally got into, they were gonna start freaking out and started, "Where's Roan? Where's Roan? Roan, get over here!" Because he was the only certified medical guy on the compound. He was
And these are the Tripoli guys who were getting up.
yeah, the guys from Tripoli.
Okay.
I think it was our country team leader that got up there first, if I remember correctly. Can't really remember.
Okay.
So I got on the radio and I just said, "Hey guys, Roan's gone." So that's kind of all I said. Um, then I went over to the fourth guy, rolled again. He was just nose to roof, rolled him over, and I remember looking at him really quick, and to me initially it looked like Jack. I'm like, how the hell, like what? It is just that split second kind of thing. Again, I never met Bub before. They're like, no, it's not Jack. Jack was over there on the other roof. I was just talking to him. I did the same thing, pulse check, look, listen, feel, did a pupil dilation. There was nothing. Um, so at this time, the guys up on the roof, they got up there, the two Delta Force guys that came, they built like a human backpack kind of a thing out of some workout straps that we had. And that's how they got Dave Umanoff, which I mean, I thought that was pretty cool how they did it. Um, because he's a big dude. He's not small. He's like, like 6'5", like 200 and something,
Oh, geez.
60 pounds. He's not getting off on. He's got, one arm and one leg, and probably kind of just going in and out of consciousness most likely by now. Um, I mean, maybe not by then, but pretty probably. I mean, I could,
Mhm.
especially being moved, I could just imagine that freaking pain, man.
Mm.
So I started going across the roof trying to gather because some of the weapons, I think one of the guys, I mean, they were kind of scattered, especially the ARs just from the explosion. Just kind of going gathering the weapon system that I could see, and then went back to Roan, uh, grabbed his pistol, searched his pockets, for wallet, wedding ring, and stuff like that, just personal belongings that could identify him just in case we had to leave him. Knelt down, said a prayer over him, went over to Bob, did the same thing, searched for what I could and find personally off of him, knelt down, said a prayer over him. During this time, I just hear the guys in the background, "We gotta hurry up. We need to get off the damn roof. Gotta get off the damn roof." I kinda get their point, but at that time, it didn't matter if we were on the roof or not. If they were gonna rain mortars in, we were all gonna be dead. It was by the grace of God that building even stood from because it was 3 81 millimeter mortars, but it was where they hit would be the only reason why that building didn't collapse.
And they confirmed it was 81s.
Yeah. Yep.
Why did anyone have any insight as to why they didn't drop rounds again?
That I think Sarah might have told me, but I don't think anybody knew. I don't think anybody still knows. I think they just stopped for some.
Talking about Sarah Adams?
Yeah.
Was she there?
No, but well, she was there, and this she was there until that morning, but we took her to the airport. She had another thing she had to go to, where she was coming back the following day. So,
Okay.
she that was her station. That
Oh,
was
I had no idea. I mean, I've known who she is from her public presence now. I had no idea that, like, that was, yeah, I didn't know you guys were connected or any of that.
oh, yeah,
Okay.
I've worked with her several times.
Huh.
Yeah, so, anyways, but I just remember them saying that, and, to me, I was still kinda irritated for how long it took them to get up on the roof. I mean, I was pretty pit I'm again, maybe again, going back to the, MSG thing, maybe that's a good thing I wasn't in MSG 'cause I just react. I was like, "No, we gotta go. We gotta get there." So, I get down off the roof, and again, I'm just pissed, just for how long. So I get in, I have, my weapon. I actually end up stealing my because he put his weapon down, so I just gathered every gun that was laying. I just picked it up because I just assumed it was all their guys' weapons. Took it in there, put him on the bed or on the couch inside, building 3, went to the back and, trying to find actually, I went to the initially because they had got Dave Boomin down, they had actually got a stretcher back there. What I was trying to go to the back door because there's a back door from the back of the building into the medical room. And I was trying to get the blast door open, but when the mortar hit, it just destroyed it. But I was able to get it like a quarter of the way open, but it just destroyed it, so I couldn't get it open. I was gonna have him come in that way versus bring him around through all the front and kinda because it's kind of
Mhm.
like a zigzag to get in. So, couldn't get it, went back in there, tried to went and got 4 more tourniquets, got them in my, you know you know, just grabbed the 4 tourniquets, started to go back out, and that's when I ran into the 2 other guys, which I guess were in the yeah, at the time, I didn't know who they were. Ended up being the Delta Force guys. They're like, "Well, where you" you're like, "Hey, where are you going?" I'm going back towards the Tower 3." Like, "Oh, you can't do that." Like, "What the hell are you talking about?" I said, "It's too dangerous." "The fuck you mean it's too dangerous?" Like, I've been fighting now that damn thing since freaking midnight. So we were getting in an arguing match right there. The team leader came out, "What the hell's going on?" And again, I don't know who these I know who the team leader was. I've worked with him several times. And he kind of going, he's like, "Well, just stay right here, so, hold security right here." I'm like, "This is not secure." It's like, we've been attacked from this location freaking twice. You want me to stand right here? This doesn't provide shit. So anyway, so I'm just standing there. I'm just thinking about up on like, why the hell did it take these guys so long to get up on the roof? I mean, obviously it wouldn't have saved the other 2 guys, but that wasn't the point. So
Mhm.
just kinda hanging out there. Next thing you know, hey, they got a hold of a huge militia. It's gonna be about 300 guys or yeah, 300 guys, about 30 gun trucks, whatever it was. Like, okay, cool.
They're
Surf.
friendlies.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's where we're like, we're all like, my hopefully they're freaking friendlies. So the gun trucks actually show up. So they're there at the compound. They're starting to surround our base. Okay. Make sure you guys are starting to surround the base. The 2 guys come back around and say, "Hey, we need to get Ronan Bub off the roof." Or actually they say, "We need to get the guys off the roof." I'll say, "Cool, we have the strap we can use to lower the guys off." They say, "No, don't worry about it. We got this. Just come and provide security." It's like, okay. So I follow them back and I started to go up the ladders and like, "What are you doing?" I'm providing security. It's like, "Oh no, just stay down here and wait." Like, why the hell do you even wait? This is even worse than where I was, because now I got a wall that's 15 feet high. That's 5 feet from my face. Then I got a building that's right here, 5 feet, and then 30 feet high. Like this is freaking stupid. So I'm just standing there waiting. I'm standing next to the ladder, and next thing you know, a body gets put up on the top and gets pushed off, and it slam. It slams on the marble slab right there. You hear the body hit and the head smash. And I'm just like, "What the fuck?" Um, and then I know it's coming next, they put the other guy, which I knew who that was Roan because of where he was placed, up there, and, they put him up, same thing, put him up there and just rolled him off. And in my mind, I'm just thinking that's just there's no reason for it. We coulda tried to do something to get him off at least a little bit dignified, even if you just used their arms and hung him over and dropped him, something. Not just, push him off, to me that and just let him to me, that was just disgusting. Uh, So, anyways, you just got to keep going what you're doing. I do remember though, when we were up on the roof, and I don't remember. I think it was one of the D boy guys. I think it was the other Marine. Like, hey, we're going to try to move him towards the ladder. This was prior to me saying the prayer and gathering everything, I believe. And I went to go pick him up, and I couldn't lift him because when I was going through the window and I smacked my head, I think I grabbed a nerve, and I had no strength whatsoever in my right side. It was all
Oh.
I could not. I could lift with my left side, but my strong side, I could not. I couldn't even drag him. It was
Huh.
so freaking weird. So I was like, "Man, I got no strength, bro. I can't lift him."
Is that the side you got shot on?
No, it was the other side.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and then so when we were able to go over there, I do remember I went to go. I think I said it a couple times that I actually helped pick up Bub and put him over there. But now is it? No, actually, I didn't. I did the same thing. I went to go pick him up, and I couldn't. I couldn't pick him up. So somebody else had to actually come over and pick up Bub and then lift him over there. I just kind of helped lift him up and get him on the bed, the same way they bring up Roan to lift him up and get up on the bed. So, but anyways, we got him over there, got him up on the flatbed, and that's when Jack, because again, they're all around. Everybody was coming off all their defensive position because it was safe ish, safe.
As much as they can be. Yeah.
So he was coming over and he was, coming back. He knew Rome was gone because I announced it. And he kind of comes over, he's just, I mean, you can see him, you lose a buddy. And then he kind of just looks at the back and kind of flushes white and just kind of like the hell's going on. I didn't really think nothing of it. And then we kind of get in. He was going to drive. I was going to be the passenger. You know, he gets in. He's just kind of sitting there. He's like, dude, you all right? He's like, no. He's like, you want me to drive? He's like, yeah. And that's kind of when we're driving. He's like, yeah, the other guy's my buddy too. Well, he served in the teams with both Roan and Bub.
And you hadn't met Bob, so you didn't know. Yeah.
Yeah, but again, I could see that though. Like he didn't even know Bub was even there. You know what I mean? He just kind of sees him. He's like, I can see that smack.
Yeah.
Um, so we get there. We covered them with sheets the best we could, and so we get ready to evacuate, and I think we got the slowest truck in the whole damn city, by the way. So everybody else that got badass sedans, these cool fast cars, and we got the hoopty flatbed, the supply truck. So we start driving. We're like the last vehicle, I think second to last, but we start going out. And no, we weren't the last because the other the country team leader, the chief of base, and a couple other guys stayed back and they firebombed the skiff. So they firebombed the skiff and they end up passing us. But so we're going through the city and all this stuff. So we had to go the long way because the short route was actually they had the Ansar Sharia, which the ones who attacked the consulate had the checkpoint. So if you watch the movie, that checkpoint is the one that Roan got hemmed up at. So that was the same group that attacked the consulate. So we went the long way. I'm trying to I got this thing floored, right? So we get on the airport road. Everybody's hauling ass. And I got this thing floored. Now I'm trying to these militia guys, they're on the side, they're trying to like tell me to hurry up. And I'm just like, this not, But everybody's I mean, I could see 'em, I mean, they're probably about almost a mile in front of us. I was like, dude, if we get hit, we were so screwed. But at least we're in a local looking vehicle for the most part. But
Blended in.
a little bit. Yeah, we got Roan and Bob in the back. I mean, they're covering sheets, but the sheets are flapping. They're just flapping in the wind for the most part. Um, But we get pulled up there, and like, there's kind of everybody's kind of backed up. So I'm thinking we're gonna pull up and just go right into the airport. Well, everybody's kind of backed up for a few seconds. But what happened? The militia that was escorting us versus the militia that was controlling the airport didn't like each other. So there's almost a firefight to get into the airport
Just between the locals.
between the locals. But
Holy hell.
luckily, the gun trucks, I mean, these guys were trained. This militia, I mean, it was a military. So the militia that actually escorted us out of the annex was Gaddafi's military. It was his army.
Oh, okay. So I mean, they were legit.
They knew how to do things. So that's why they didn't like him. So they flew the gates open. We were able to get on. We got them to to the airplane. You know, and I didn't know a whole lot was going on. We get out of the trucks. I go on. They start getting things on. I kind of go. I wanted to get out of this body armor because my side, and now the adrenaline was kind of wearing off because now driving kind of wearing off the safe.
13 hours later, it finally wore off.
Well, now the pain was kind of set. I want to get the body armor off and kind of see what was going on. And that's like got on the plane, took it off because I'm thinking we're all going to take off on the plane. I don't know about plane weight. I'm not a cargo guy. So I put it on, I come out, and I'm trying to help load the plane, doing different things. I just want to be out of the armor. I shouldn't have did that. But, I could see the black and blue starting to form on my side. I mean, it's gnarly. It was like that solid, deep black and blue that a lot of people kind of know. But it was like that thick blood, black blue kind of crap. But
Yes.
and so we're getting things on. Oz kind of comes and he gets off the truck. He's walking up. It's kind of standing there, and the Oz tells it really good. I hate telling other people's story, but so as he's walking up, he's in his skivvies and stuff like that, and he's got blood kind of coming down, and the the stewardess on this rich guy's plane kind of comes. She's standing there, eyes wide, and Oz is walking up. She just all of a sudden darts back, to the back of the plane. Oz kinda looks, he's like, "Yeah, whatever," and kinda gets up, and next thing you know, this is Oz telling it. As he gets on and starts turning, walking to the back, she comes darting right back up, handful of towels, and stuff like that, and he's thinking, "Oh, okay, so she's gonna wrap me up, help kinda stop the bleeding." She starts covering the plane with the towels.
So he doesn't bleed everywhere.
Yep.
Like, oh, that's nice.
Yeah, yeah, so, but you still got Dave Ubben, he's still bleeding pretty good. He's got all kinds of wounds coming. But, yeah, so it's kinda like, well, if you think he's bad, just wait till the next guy comes in. So, anyway, so we get all that stuff on, and, they had a bunch of stuff that we got out of the console, a bunch of electronical stuff and the personnel, and then to find out the plane was gonna be too heavy to take all of us on there. So, hey, I didn't even think about my body armor, but then, I was like, "Whatever." Um So they lock up the plane. We start standing by the vehicles, and we're trying to figure out what are we gonna do with the vehicles. Next thing we know, the plane on the door flies back open. The pilot, I don't think he even touched the steps, flies back out. He starts running up and down the plane. We're kind of standing out there like, what the hell's going on? Well, the maintenance guys and the cooks, everybody's got a firearm. So what happens, the pilot said, before we take off, everyone has got to unload their guns. Well, the maintenance guy somehow fired his gun.
He was unloading it.
Yeah, he was unloading it.
He was dechambering the round.
Yeah. So so they're trying to find the bullet hole. So they're like, "We can't take off until we find the bullet hole because we gotta make sure it doesn't it 'cause if it penetrated the fuselage, we can't take off." So they're searching, everybody's searching, next they looked at the seat post, and it stopped right at the seat post. What are the odds?
With how wrong everything went all night before that, that feels like too.
So many wrongs, but so many rights at the same time. So they were able to lock up the plane, take off, get to Tripoli, land, get Dave Ubin into the hospital, get Oz into the hospital. After the surgery and stuff, the doctors came out and they said if Dave Ubin would have been about another 10, 15 minutes, he'd have died because of blood loss.
Another thing going so right.
Yep.
Jeez.
So we're there. We're still staying there. There's about 10 of us. Um, what was it? Four of us, myself, Tonto, Jack, OD, our team leader, our country team leader, two Delta Force guys, the country linguist, and I think two State Department guys. And then while we're sitting there, two random white dudes come walking up. I don't know what they were, but they were there too. I don't know who they were. Don't whatever. Um, but as we're standing there, again, the guys that escort us there, they're fighting over the vehicles. I'm standing there. They finally figure it out. As they're fighting, one of them has an ND.
Right.
Oh, which wasn't a bad thing because it kind of de-escalated everything. Instead of escalating, everybody kind of they gave the because we can't do anything with the vehicles. So they kind of handed the keys out, and as I'm sitting there at the bed of the flatbed, I'm looking. I'm like, everything's kind of like, okay, where's because when we left the consulate, so they put Sean Smith's body in our vehicle. So it was just like an SUV. It only has 2 rows of seats. So in the back, myself and OD were on top of Sean Smith. It's the only way we can get out of there. So I'm sitting there, I'm thinking, where's the other guy? Like, where's the third guy? Was he back at the continent? Everybody's kind of look. Like, I'm starting to look. Was he left in the vehicle? And everybody's like, I think he was. And I'm looking like, where's that vehicle? Like, did we leave that vehicle at the compound? So the state department guys didn't even grab Sean Smith. So I'm sitting there looking like, where's this? And then there's the vehicle. So I'm running and like, and I got I think it was the Marine, uh, Delta Force guy, and I'm like, hey, help me! I got to stop the vehicle. I got Sean Smith. He's in the back. So luckily we were able to stop him, get Sean Smith's body out, and get him on the flatbed. Otherwise, dude, he would have took off,
What?
right? Ain't fun.
I'm- On one hand, it's like, okay, I get it. You guys have just had the most chaotic night possible, but it's also like,
Thinking about that.
yes, that
Lucky
was their
that they had a guy.
that was their guy.
And again, the guy I never met or seen. I never saw the guy before. I never even met Sean Smith before ever. So
You literally just from you guys pulling him out from the fire.
yeah,
Like
and
that's
that and I didn't even see him then. I just saw a body. I never saw his face.
Jeez.
Until I carried him out of the vehicle. So then the commander comes up, said, "Hey, we can go. We're gonna go get the ambassador's body." So they left from the airport, went to the hospital. They were gone for some time. Came back in a pickup truck with the body in the back. We kind of, instead of letting them come all the way up, myself, the Delta Force guy, and Tonto, all 3 walked over there and identified the ambassador. And if a lot of people don't know, you have to check the bodies. You, not just the face. You have to physically check the bodies, make sure they're not cut open and implanted with bombs, because that's what they do,
Oh.
especially over in Iraq. They were doing that sometimes in Afghanistan. So you'd have to make sure so we'd have to we lifted up his shirt and make sure there was no major incisions and stuff like that. Otherwise, we'd have to cut him back open, or at least make sure there's no explosives in there. So,
Ooh,
but for
that's
me,
dark.
yeah, no. So, but
Yeah.
for me, what kind of stuck in my head. Everybody kind of remembers Die Hard for the most part.
Hmm.
I'll watch the movie, but what's always stuck in my head was the scene when he was barefoot and they shot all the glass and he ended up cutting his feet up. Ever since that part of the movie, anytime I ever had to get in this, I'm always putting shoes on, whether with socks or without socks. But if I'm gonna even overseas when something happened, I threw my shoes on first.
And that's stuck in your brain.
I would rather go naked than not have shoes
Okay.
on. Because of that. Because again, your feet get jacked, but I remember looking at his feet; they're pitch black from the soot.
Hmm.
So he didn't have time to even put shoes on. See what I'm saying? That's how fast it was gonna happen. So anyway, so we got him, we put him on the flatbed, and then we're kind of sitting there waiting. We didn't know what we are gonna do. We still had 3 other vehicles. We didn't give him all of our vehicles. We still had 3 other vehicles, just in case we had to drive cross country up to Tripoli ourselves. So we didn't know if that plane was gonna land, come back, pick us up, or we didn't really know. We were still trying to figure that out. Libyan C-130 lands, parks probably about, quarter of a mile away or something like that from at the airport. Our country team leader and the linguist that stayed behind drove over there, talked with the pilots, came back, said, "Let's go over there. They're gonna take us back to Tripoli." So that's what we did. Went over there, got the guys off, loaded them on the plane, and flew back to Tripoli. And on that flight back, that's kind of when the rooftop part, when they threw Ronan Bub off the roof, from that part, that's when it hit me. Just had so much time to process that.
Was it just angry or?
Yeah, just I think it's just a lot of fucking anger. Just I'm just like again, I still to me they were still just GRS guys. I still had no idea who they were. But again, it's also I get it's still combat, but for me, it's still there was no reason for it at the time. There, I get it. Yeah, you might have had to leave them behind too. I get that. But if they was under fire, if we had to get out of there fast, yes, let's get them off. Let's go home. But when you're surrounded and your base is being protected by somebody else and you have time to do something, do it. Get them off dignified if you can. If not, do what you have to do. But anyways, so we land, we get to Tripoli. Um, we go to the CIA compound, and I remember driving on when we get on and we start driving on. I just remember seeing our road, just lined with luggage. I'm like, what the hell's going on? Are we evacuating this compound too? They're like, no, they evacuated the embassy. So that's even how unprotected the embassy was. They evacuated everyone from the embassy to the CIA compound.
In Tripoli?
Yeah. Right. So I'm just like, this is nuts. So we get, we go, we debrief really quick. We get whatever's left of lunch. This is now it's about 3 in the afternoon or so, 2 in the afternoon, I think. They said, all right, he's go take a shower, take a nap. We'll wake you up or, we'll wake up, whatever's going. I can't remember exactly. So they gave us, obviously we didn't have a room there. So, I had bloody clothes on. Everybody else is kind of all torn up clothes. So we're like, we got no clothes. So a couple of the guys, the other people, other Americans, like here kind of thing. So got their clothes, took a shower, went in, sleeping. Next thing you know, team leader comes around, wakes everybody up, say, hey, you guys are being evacuated. For what? And you're all, I don't know. They're all taking y'all to Germany. What are you doing? You're staying here. Why the fuck are we being evacuated? They wanted us out of there for some reason. So,
What what do you think? Like, and it was just you GRS guys, and then
they were also evacuating us with the embassy staff.
who was staying while you were being evacuated?
The team leader.
Okay.
Team leader was staying, which to me, I'm like going, that's just, I don't know. We get back to anyway.
Yeah.
So we get evacuated, and when we're at the airport, that's when actually the Marine Fast Company finally they showed up. This is about 5 in the evening, I think, when that happened. So we get on the bird, we fly to Germany, and we get met there. General Ham, he was there greeting everybody. Of course, nobody knows who we are. They just think we're all embassy staffers, right?
Yeah.
And but all of us, even with the State Department guys that were in Benghazi, we all just kind of stayed together, And one thing that kind of this is these embassy people, these State Department people are honestly they're freaking pathetic. So the USO's there. They're giving away because they hear that we had to, they're told kind of ahead of time that we had to leave everything behind in Benghazi.
Yeah.
So we're the last ones to go through and get things. I mean, they had clothes, shoes, underwear, socks, toiletry stuff, everything that you would need for about a week or two to stay in Germany. We didn't need that much, but by the time the guys who were actually in Benghazi that got up there to get stuff, it was all gone. Now remember, what I'd say when we got into Tripoli, the road was lined with luggage. They had all their shit, and they still took everything. So what the USO did, they actually gave all of us $500 credit cards to go and get what we needed from the commissary the next day.
That's fucking gross. And no one, I mean, their leadership wasn't like, "Hey, bitches,
No,
put this."
right? But yeah, we're just sitting there like, you got it. So we were just like, you got to be kidding me.
And I mean, you've probably still coming down off her. I know you said you got to nap, but I mean, after being up for what 24 plus hours and obviously fighting half of that time and everything else, like,
You're not sleeping on that medical. I think it was the Charleston's what it was. You're not sleeping on it. There's no way to sleep on it. So, you really didn't sleep till you got through all that. And then, we got our own hotel room. And by then, like I said, my neck, I couldn't turn my head like left or right, couldn't move it up and down. It was just stiff, so much pain. I think it's because I went through that window and smacked my head back, did something on it. It still jacks up. It's still messed up.
Because you had a helmet on and then your nods hit the window right and just cranked everything.
Yeah. So yeah, and then we were there in Germany. We got debriefed, and then when we were there, we heard about the protest. I'm like, protest. And then again, remember I said about Ambassador Stevens' feet.
Yes.
So yeah. And then by the time we were allowed to totally go home, they said, okay, it was after the dignified transfer of them bringing them back to Dover. That's when they said, okay, you guys can go home. But we had to buy our own plane tickets.
Who debriefed you guys?
Our CIA.
And
They asked if you guys. They said you can go talk to the FBI, but even to this day, why? It's not. It's not a criminal offense. We're in a hostile zone. It's a combat zone. It should be treated as a combat operation. These guys that are capturing and bringing here, throw them in front of our court, costing, making us pay, pretty much a couple $1 million per person, and to jail them for the rest of their lives. It should be whack them.
well, and you guys obviously whacked a bunch of them. I mean, but it's just CIA debriefs you probably on the details without any actually answers for you guys on why it took until the next afternoon for the Marines to get there, why no gunship was ever sent, why the convoy got delayed at the airport that was supposed to come get you guys, why everything.
Yeah, so a lot of that, I'm kind of running out of time, but
Sorry, dude, we can wrap up if you need.
no,
Yeah.
so I'll come back on. We can talk about the mayor thing. Oh, okay. But no, exactly. Yeah, I didn't realize we were talking for a while. But yeah, the Benghazi story takes a long time. So 10 years after the fact, this is kind of what I learned. So 17 Feb, prior to the attack, told Bob that they were not going to come and help. The night as we were getting ready, Bob actually got a hold of them, and again they told him, "We are not going to come and help you. You're on your own." That is why we got told to stand down. That stand down order is the direct, well, besides the actual attack itself, is the reason why Ambassador Stevens and Sean Smith are dead. Because if we were able to leave when we wanted to, the buildings would not have been able to set on fire because we would have been engaging with them. You know, they wouldn't be able because they're free reign across that compound. Um,
Well, it sounds like as soon as they met opposition, you guys both times that the first you guys getting there and then their counterattack, like they let up after you guys cut loose.
Yep. So again, that's a 100% fact. I know they wouldn't. They'd still be alive because again, they died of smoke inhalation. They lit the 17 Fed building on fire first, and it took them um, over 30 minutes to start getting those buildings on fire. So while we were sitting there waiting to leave after we wanted to leave, they started lighting them on fire.
Yeah, I know that you've seen the video. So
So, and again, I already talked about Ambassador Stevens. So the group that attacked the consulate is not the same group that attacked the annex. It was two separate attacks, two separate groups as well. So it was 7 Al Qaeda organizations that came together and attacked the consulate. They were preparing for that attack for about 3 months or a few months prior.
so it
Um,
wasn't that cartoon that everyone said it was.
no, it had nothing to do with it.
Or the movie,
But
whatever it was. Yeah.
I think they think that the ambassador being there was probably they pushed up the timeline. Otherwise, there would have been more attackers involved. But they probably wanted to kidnap him and try to trade him for the blind chick. I think is who it was. It was one of those guys. I can't remember. Anyways, but for the fact that they didn't really know what he looked like, kind of proved that they had a hold of him, but they let him go. See what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
they still could have negotiated with his body. They, so again, so that kind of debunks that whole video thing as well. But then people, it wasn't spontaneous just because the ambassador was there. They were planning that attack for months prior. That
Which
for
go ahead.
annex, it was so the Delta Force, this is not on them. This is just how it happened. They were trying to figure out how are they going to get from the airport to us. So the Delta Force guys, they try to get the least of the worst. So they got a hold of the group, and they said yes, I beat them out the airport. Well, that group is the one who attacked us. So reason
Holy shit.
the reason why it was delayed, well, the reason why, I mean, they knew that was going on, so they knew, hey, maybe we can do this. So the reason why they delayed it, they wanted the sun to come up so they could shoot us with mortars. So they had the spotter, they could see the mortars. So America, we can do it we can do it at night. We just have that technology. So when the daylight came up, they showed up to bring them to our compound. The only thing I can kind of think of, what they were thinking of, is the fact they weren't expecting the commander to actually go into the compound itself. I think that's where they screwed up. But the other thing is those 17 Feb, on top of them not even showing up to help the consulate, they were the mortar team that launched. They were the ones to launch the mortars that killed Ronan Bub.
Oh my God.
I'm telling you, it's a cluster, man. This this is something that's a movie that you wouldn't even believe, but it's real life.
It's hard because, like, you know, obviously another part of the controversy is how did you, obviously it was campaign time and we don't want to admit that this slipped under our noses for months. And I, I know you're tight on time. So
Oh,
what?
sorry, one more thing
Yes.
before because I got to do this too.
Yep.
Because my thing is also, regardless if you like it or not, the truth has to be told because you can't fix something if you don't actually know what's going on or you don't know what the truth is. So the stand down order for the military side. Everybody wants to blame Hillary Clinton. Everybody wants to blame Obama and all the State Department. Well, again, 10 years later, this is probably going to piss people off because they want to blame Hillary. You can't really blame Hillary for the stand down order for the military to be turned away. The Charleston was ready on the tarmac in Germany. They sent out cables. Hey, we're here. We're ready to fly into Benghazi. This was about 1 a.m, just right after our first attack on the annex. So with that cable traffic, our team leader responded and said, no, we do not need you. We are all okay. So that either just indirectly that told everybody in that AO, everyone was fine, everything was done, go home. Because remember when I said that the drone was not watching us, it was watching the consulate, because that's what
Yes.
we didn't need them to watch. So if the drone was watching us, they would have known we're still being attacked, and all those units that were coming towards us would have still, and Ronan Bub would still been alive. So
Gosh, man.
there's things that happened that were just a miracle, and there's things that were happening that were just shit. So, but again, until that something like that is addressed, also you can't. It'll happen again. So that's why you got to bring that up.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's very big of you, I think, to not point fingers, obviously, and you've had, you know, bring up the information that you got 10 years later and everything else. Like uh, I'm trying to make this thank you as short as possible because I know you need to get out of here. But what you're doing is important, and coming on and having these conversations is very important. And obviously, I know this probably doesn't mean a whole lot, but I'm glad you're still here, obviously, in here to tell this. And, uh, hopefully these kinds of conversations drive some change with this stuff. And I'm trying not to keep you here any longer than that. So,
I think I got 30 minutes for my next interview. So
okay. Well, man,
I mean, is this one live or no?
no, it's just, we'll,
I mean, if you want to record the other side of it too, and we can do that, or you want to do a whole another separate one.
and all right. Now that we've handled some of that offline, just thank you again, man, for coming on. We are going to, it sounds like, reconnect at some point later to have you back on and talk about some other stuff that we just weren't able to get to today. So I appreciate you and what you're doing and obviously what you've done. And just thanks for coming on.
Oh yeah, thanks for having me. Yeah, it's a long, especially when I get into the detail. It's a crazy story.
Yeah, and I wanted to hear. I wasn't sure we had like kind of crossed wires beforehand, and I was trying not to take too much of your time. So we'll do this again, and thank you.
Oh yeah, Simplify. Yeah, thanks for having me on, man. I appreciate it.
Simplify, brother,
I
man.
we finally got connected.
Yeah. All right. I'll talk to you later.
All right, man. So
And thanks everyone at home for listening to another episode of Going In Blind. I think some big insights there at the end. Go back and listen to them again. Share this thing around. People need to hear this stuff, right? It's information from the horse's mouth. Is there's no room in there to take things out of context or take smart takeaways and make your own angles on it. So make sure you share this thing around so people can hear it. And I will see you next time. Bye.